Mei and I have been close since we were kids. But my parents just asked me to go find her after I returned to the country. Mei even uttered wild words. Even if I, Shen Xingyue, were to die, I would never like Jiu Yichen. But to maintain our fake relationship in front of my family, I can only call her. Inside the private room, Shen Xingyue was partying with a group of classmates. At that moment, the phone beside her rang. Sitting next to Shen Xingyue was Song Jinian. He saw an unfamiliar number calling. He picked up the phone and brought it to Shen Xingyue. Please use your phone. Shen Xingyue glanced at the phone. Although the number wasn't saved, she immediately remembered whose number it was. She said. Shen Xing spoke calmly. No need to answer it. She knew who it was. She also knew why they were calling. Song Jinian nodded and hung up the phone. It must be another person pursuing Shen Xingyue calling. There are plenty of simps at school. Shen Xingyue has already said she is not interested in dating. Those boys are still being shameless. They want to turn the tables and become her boyfriend. I was a bit angry when the call was hung up. Oh, you, Xingyue. You actually hung up on me. 2.5 minutes later, after I parked at the bottom of the Shaonuan KV building, I suppressed my anger and called Shen Xingyue again. Xingyue, if you dare to hang up on me again this time, I will. The next second, the call was answered. Song Jinian's disdainful voice came through from the other end of the phone. This classmate. I mean, can't you have some dignity? You won't even answer your phone. And yet you keep calling. I was at a loss for words. Who is this guy? Do I have to deal with him just to call Shen Xingyue? Could he be Shen Xingyu's simp? Although I hate Shen's bootlickers, I have to admit that Shen Xingyue is really good looking. It's not normal for her not to have a few lackeys around. Hello. I'm looking for Shen Xingyue. Could you please return the phone to her? Song Jinian let out a cold laugh. Do you know who I am? You dare to command me like this? I don't want to hear him ramble, I replied coldly. I don't know who you are. And don't worry about who I am. Quickly tell me your box number. I'm coming up to find Shen Xingyue. Song Jinian was furious. Deep down, Song Jinian felt a surge of anger. Today, I'm going to teach this ungrateful person a lesson. You should come up too. We're in box 888. He had just finished speaking. I directly hung up the phone. Song Jinian was extremely shocked. Is this guy tired of living? I can't tell who he is, so that's fine. How dare he hang up on me? When he comes up, I'll make sure to deal with him. Just as Song Jinian was about to put down Shen Xingyu's phone, Shen Xingyue came out of the restroom in the box. She saw that Song Jinian seemed to have answered her call. Immediately displeased, she walked over to Song Jinian's side. She asked coldly with a blank expression. Who allowed you to answer my call? Song Jinian had been arrogant and domineering at school. He would dare to provoke anyone and tear into anyone. He acted very much as he pleased. But he was very afraid of Shen Xingyue. To be precise, no one in the school was unafraid of Shen Xingyue. Everyone knew that the Shen family was one of the 4 prominent families in the entire capital city. Their economic strength ranked second in the country. Anyone who offended the Shen family almost never ended well. The Song family's economic strength only entered the national top 10 last year. Naturally, Song Jinian dared not be arrogant in front of Shen Xingyue. At this moment, I arrived at the 6th floor with a dark expression. I walked very quickly all the way. So much so that when I turned a corner, I bumped directly into a girl walking towards me. After I came to my senses, I looked at the very delicate-looking girl in front of me. I quickly apologized. I'm sorry about just now. The girl smiled and waved her hand. After I nodded, I walked around the girl and her friend. I hurriedly walked ahead. Su Wanding turned her head and smiled at Rian. Rian. So he wasn't here to hit on her. I thought it was another boy who has a crush on you, who wanted to take the opportunity to ask for your contact information. Meanwhile, Shin Rian tugged at to the sofa in the lobby for a bit. Su Wanding asked with a puzzled expression. Liang, aren't we going back? What if uncle and aunt find out? Shin Rian chuckled softly. This is my family's territory. What's the matter? Inside the private room, Song Jinian stood there apologizing to Shen Xingyue. I really can't afford to offend you. I won't dare to do it again next time. A few boys sitting in the corner who usually suffered from Song Jinian's arrogance secretly laughed in their hearts. This scene is really too satisfying. But it's still not relieving at all. This Song Jinian usually bullies them quite a lot. Shen Xingyue remained silent. She directly took the phone from Song Jinian's hand. She sat down on the sofa. Wen Mumu kindly started to mediate. Okay. Don't you have something to do and need to leave first? Hurry up and go. Shen Xingyue lightly nodded. At this moment, I had already reached the door of the private room. Just as I was about to knock on the door to the private room suddenly swung open. I caught sight of Shen Xingyue at a glance. The girls in the private room gasped in awe. Wow, what a handsome guy. Whose friend is this? Is he from our school? At this time, Shen Xingyue leaned on the sofa and looked at me. She hinted at a barely noticeable smile. Although she also dislikes me a lot, I have to admit that I am indeed quite handsome. Song Jinian reached out to block me. I looked at him in confusion. What are you doing? Song Jinian lifted his chin. You're here to see Sister Shen, right? As soon as I heard that voice, I knew it was Song Jinian, the guy from the phone call earlier. What does it have to do with you? Get out of my way. Song Jinian turned to look at Shen Zhou. Please meet. Who is this guy? Is he your friend? A mischievous smile flashed in Shen Qingyu's eyes. I don't know him. Now Song Jinian looked even more arrogant. He looked down on me from his lofty position. But now I know you. It won't be hard for you to get in. I frowned at Shen Xingyue. What if I insist on it? I leaned against the doorframe with my arms crossed. more arrogant than Song Jinian. Seeing this, Song Jinian immediately fumed with anger. Do you know who I am? You dare to talk to me in that tone? Hurry up and apologize to me. Otherwise, I will make you regret it faster than you can imagine. You won't even have the chance to beg on your knees. I watched as the corners of his mouth slightly curled up. I see you're just a pampered rich kid. The arrogant and domineering young master. I'm asking what's wrong with you. Others want to hear praises. You insist that I point out your flaws. Life has been too easy for you. Your brain must have malfunctioned, right? Upon hearing this, everyone in the private room was shocked. It had been a long time since anyone dared to insult Song Jinian like this. Everyone nervously swallowed. They glanced at Song Jinian. They noticed that Song Jinian's expression had turned stormy. At that moment, a soft laughter filled the private room. Song Jinian turned around and shot a glare. Everyone's laughter instantly stopped. When Mumu turned off the sounds in the private room to better watch the show unfolding, she completely muted the sounds in the room. In an instant, everything around fell silent. Song Jinian stepped forward and glared at me fiercely. Apologize to me. Otherwise, don't blame me for being angry with you. I am not afraid at all. What do you want to do? Song Jinian let out a cold laugh. He raised his hand and punched me in the face. Shen Qingyue frowned and reflexively stood up. She instinctively wanted to help me. In the moment she stood up, Shen Qingyue was stunned. Didn't she hate Ji Yichin? Before she could come to her senses, another loud slap echoed. It was much louder than the previous slap. However, this time the slap didn't land on my face, but rather on Song Jinian's face. Shen Qingyue almost forgot. With my first degree black belt in karate, I really didn't need her to step in. The others gasped in shock as well. Oh my god. This is unbelievable. It was the first time they saw Song Jinian get slapped. In the past, it was always Song Jinian who did the slapping. Song Jinian was furious. You actually dare to hit me. With a loud slap, I gave Song Jinian another slap. A few boys who couldn't stand Song Jinian started whispering again. Just pretend to leave. This scene really makes one feel so comfortable. Yeah. It's so satisfying. In school, aside from Sister Shen, there's probably Sister Rian too. Probably no one dares to touch Song Jinian. I grabbed Song Jinian by the neck. I pinned Song Jinian against the door with a cold smile. This young master 17. I warn you VZ. If you dare to touch me again, I'll break your hand. Shen Qingyue curled her lips. This Shang Gumshen. Still the same as before. Not willing to lose out in any situation. After doing all this, I coldly looked at Shen Qingyue and said, is it really interesting to sit back and watch the fire from across the river? Hurry up and come here. The crowd looked at Shen Qingyue in stunned silence. Then glanced at me. Who on earth is this person? How dare they speak to Shen Qingyue in this tone? Aren't you afraid you won't live to see tomorrow? To everyone's surprise, Shen Qingyue obediently walked towards me. Everyone was surprised to see Shen Qingyue actually give it. They are still very obedient. What is going on here? Didn't Shen Qingyue just say she didn't know this guy? Song Jinian was terrified. He even began to tremble slightly. He actually came over so obediently. Look at me Song Jinian. Who exactly is this boy to Shen Qingyue? Shen Qingyue walked up to me. She approached me. Ji Yichin, you're still the same. You haven't changed at all. You did that on purpose just now, right? If your eyesight is bad, can you donate it to someone in need? I, your father, am clearly much more handsome now. Everyone was astonished. Not only does this person serve a purpose, but he also calls himself Dad in front of her. Shen Qingyue's lips curled up slightly. Having confidence is a good thing. Song Jinian trembled and looked at me. Then looked back. Didn't you say you didn't know him? Shen Qingyue didn't look at him. Song Jinian was scared out of his wits. I think I've told you more than once. When I'm talking to others, I don't like being interrupted. Song Jinian apologized. Seeing this scene made me angry again. Acting all high and mighty in front of me. But in front of her, he has become this way. I thought you acted like this in front of everyone. I looked at Shen Qingyue unhappily. I really think you should see an eye doctor. You actually found a boyfriend like this. Shen Qingyue said duh. I have high standards. I won't easily find a boyfriend. Let alone someone like this loser. After saying that, she looked at Song Jinian. Apologized to him. I stared at Shen Qingyue in surprise. Shen Qingyue actually stood up to speak for me. It has been since we last met. It was already during the new year. It has only been half a year since we last saw each other. Shen Qingyue has surprisingly become more human-like. Song Jinian's face looked extremely awkward. If he had to apologize privately, he would have apologized a long time ago. Song Jinian glanced at the classmates in the private room. He mostly bullies others. Make him apologize in front of them. Wouldn't he be very embarrassed? Song Jinian looked at Shen Qingyue awkwardly and fearfully. Shen Qingyue's voice dropped. Ming Xian Le Yijie. I can't understand what you're saying. Song Jinian panicked instantly. He could only endure and look at me silently. He said reluctantly, I'm sorry. What I enjoy most is showing off in front of those who bully the weak and fear the strong. The voice is too soft. I can't hear you. Shen Qingyue glanced at me helplessly. She smirked and couldn't help but laugh. Peeved. Interesting. This taste is quite interesting. This made Song Jinian feel utterly humiliated. Unfortunately, Wen Mumu is Shen Qingyue's best friend. Even if he is arrogant, he can only hold it in. Song Jinian took a deep breath and raised his voice. I'm sorry. I glanced at him and said, don't look at me with that kind of expression. It makes it seem like I'm the one bullying you. And your apology is not sincere at all and quite impatient. After saying that, I glanced at Shen Qingyue. Don't you think? Shen Qingyue nodded, her voice even colder. Apologize again. Seeing this, Song Jinian clenched his fists. But in front of Shen Qingyue, he still didn't dare to speak up. He just took a deep breath. He tried hard to say to me with a tone full of sincerity, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The corner of my mouth slightly lifted. Very good. This time, I'm satisfied. However, I won't forgive you. After saying that, I glanced at Shen Qingyue and said displeased Ly. Goodbye. I can't believe I have to come find you myself. Shen Qingyue looked at the private room. Then I'll take my leave. Everyone quickly responded. Goodbye, Sister Shen. See you at school, Qingyue. In the hall and outside in the lobby, Su Luoting was lazily leaning on the sofa. Sigh. School is starting soon. What a hassle. Just as Shin Rian was about to say something, I could hear my furious voice drifting over from the front. Shen Qingyu's gaze. Just tell me how you plan to compensate me. If it weren't for you, I would have been beaten up by your so-called classmate. Su Wanting and Shin Rian were taken aback one after the other. They turned to look in our direction upon hearing the sound. Shin Rian's gaze was originally gentle, but upon seeing Shen Qingyue, it instantly turned completely cold. Instead, it was replaced by a chilling indifference. Furious. Haven't I already helped you? What more do you want? Besides, didn't you already fight back? Hearing this, I shook my head. What I meant wasn't about me and that whatever year. It's about you. She glanced at me. So what do you want to do? As she spoke, she suddenly noticed the two people in the lounge area on the right side. Her beautiful eyes narrowed instantly. Then she circled around from my left side to my right. Seeing this, I got even angrier. Shen Qingyue, what are you doing here and there? I'm talking to you. Shen Qingyue looked at me and said, so what do you want? If Shen Qingyue asked me this, I really didn't know how to answer for a while. Meet my 3 conditions. But I haven't thought about this condition yet. I'll tell you later. Shen Qingyue gave me a disdainful look. Are you a rogue or a robber? I frowned and looked at her and said, after you keep asking me if I believe it or not, you will come to my house. I'll tell you right away, Mom. How did this red mark on my face come from? You will be in good shape then. Hearing this, Shen Qingyue had no choice but to make a deal. I raised my chin and curled my lips. That's pretty good. Su Luoting watched Shen Qingyue and I walk into the elevator, looking at Qin Rian in shock. This is my first time outside of school. Shen Qingyue, why are you going in circles? Qin Rian didn't say anything. She watched the two of them leave. A smile appeared at the corners of her lips. It was because it was Saturday. The whole way was stuck in traffic. I tapped the steering wheel impatiently while driving. Suddenly, I noticed a pharmacy by the roadside. So I turned to Shen Qingyue in the passenger seat and said, hurry to the pharmacy and get me 2 ice packs. Otherwise, the swelling on my face definitely won't go down before I get home. Shen Qingyue smiled, unfazed. She looked at me with a blank expression. Gu Yichin. Do you know, you're the only one who dares to boss me around? I shot her a glance. Stop rambling and go buy it. Don't forget, this injury happened because of you. It's not unreasonable to ask you to go buy it. After that, I jokingly added, besides, serving this young master is your honor. Hurry up and go buy it for me. The crispy skin laughs at the tender meat. Gu Yichin. You really are becoming more and more confident. I slightly tilted my head back. With my fingers spread, I pressed my hair back. Yes. What you have, I have too. Why can't I be confident? Shen Qingyue covered her mouth and laughed. Your shamelessness and roguishness. I truly do not have it. As she spoke, she unbuckled her seatbelt. She pushed the door and got out of the car. I looked at her back, feeling defeated. Shen Qingyue has liked to spar with me since we were young. When she was little, she stayed at my house, relying on being a little older than me. She liked to beat me up every day for no reason. She would even team up with my second sister to bully me, just because of my birth. I took a lot of love away from my second sister. Originally, my second sister was the most favored in the family. After I was born, the focus of the family shifted entirely to me. So my second sister, to vent her frustration, often teamed up with Shen Qingyue to mess with me. Luckily, I was good at fighting when I was young. Plus, I had my older sister protecting me, resulting in me dealing with too much pressure, eating too much sushi. Thinking back to before middle school, Shen Qingyue was already a head taller than me, so she often used to pin me down and hit me. However, fortunes change over time. Now I'm not just a head taller than Shen Qingyue. If we were to fight now, she would definitely be subdued by me in 3 minutes. 2.5 minutes later, Shen Qingyue came back. She handed me a plastic bag with an ice pack inside. Cake. I took it and looked at her saying, thank you. Shen Qingyue looked at me with a mischievous expression. How should I respond? I was just thinking about how to retort to Shen Qingyue. Back when I was with Shen Qingyue, she continued saying, your school abroad should be starting soon. Why do you still have this free time to come back? Hearing this, I spoke up. It's not like I wanted to come back. It was my parents. They transferred me back home without my consent. Shen Qingyue looked at me and smiled. The courses abroad. It's different from the courses back home. Except for physical education. Any exam is the hardest in the country. Aren't you afraid you'll come in last in your grade? I frowned slightly. You make noodles. I'm not as bad as you say. Don't forget. My scores from the high school entrance exam. I was just a few points away from first in the province. I get really mad just thinking about it. Why didn't you just score 10 points at that time? If that's the case, then the provincial top scorer would have been mine. Shen Qingyue looked at me with a smile again. Actually, second place is great. It fits your image and temperament very well. I looked at her with a hint of anger. Do you believe I'll smash your head with my fists? The two of them bickered all the way back to the GU family. The GU family home is very large. It covers an area of over 1,000 square meters. After circling a large green belt, we finally saw the villa. I parked the car. I looked at Shen Qingyue cautiously and asked, my face shouldn't show any signs of having been hit, right? Because it involves her. Shen Qingyue stared at me seriously for a moment. No translation required. I unbuckled my seatbelt and said, that's good. Are you ready? Shen Qingyue was slightly taken aback. For a moment, she surprisingly grasped the meaning of my words. I rubbed my hands together excitedly. It's our turn to perform now. The plot of being more than friends but less than lovers begins. Shen Qingyue rolled her eyes at me in silence. You're crazy. I gritted my teeth and stretched my muscles. I really want to get back at her for bullying me when we were kids. Butler Li was the first to notice me and Shen Qingyue. After the excited announcement, he immediately came out to greet me and Shen Qingyue. Young Master Gu. Miss Shen. I ran over and gave Butler Li a big hug. Butler Li. I missed you so much. Did you miss me? Butler Li laughed. He treats me like his own grandson. How could he not miss me? Of course he did. Young Master and Miss Shen, please go in first. We arrived at the living room. I saw my parents and two sisters chatting with Shen Qingyue's parents. The servants spoke in unison. Good evening. Young Master Gu. Miss Shen. Aunt Shen waved excitedly at me. Xiaochen, come here quickly. What I used to enjoy most at home was sticking close to my two sisters. So I sat down between them without hesitation. The usually serious eldest sister, Gu Wanchu, looked at me with a loving smile. Aunt Shen looked at me fondly. By the way, I need to tell you two kids something. I asked with a puzzled expression. I took the orange juice handed to me by the servant and started to drink. Second sister, Gu Luoli, leaned over to my ear and gave me a smiling piece of advice. A warm reminder. Don't drink the orange juice just yet. I looked at Gu Luoli with confusion. I couldn't understand the meaning of Gu Luoli's words for a while. Aunt Shen looked at me with a doting expression and said, we are planning to have you engaged to Shen Qingyue. Hearing this, I was so shocked that I just inhaled. All the orange juice in my throat came out as I coughed. Upon seeing this, my mom couldn't stop laughing. Oh dear. Chen. Don't get too excited. Look at how happy you are. I was coughing violently while being shocked. Do I look very happy? Third sister shrugged her shoulders. I did remind you about this, you know. Yu Lu raised her eyebrows slightly. Why didn't you discuss this matter with us beforehand? I finally stopped coughing. Exactly. Other matters can be overlooked. How can you not discuss something like an engagement with us? Aunt Shen smiled. What is there to discuss about this? Anyway, you will definitely agree. How close are you two? We all know what's going on. Shen Qingyue and I exchanged speechless looks. I then spoke up. Have you considered? What if Qingjian has someone he likes? Aunt Shen waved her hand with a smile. Impossible. Does Qingyue have someone she likes? As her mother, how could I not know? She's so aloof at school. At this moment, Uncle Shen also said, it's the same outside of school. Qingyue only treats you well. I was about to say something to explain, when I was interrupted by Aunt Shen. Qingyue's fiancé must be you. Auntie can't find anyone more suitable for Qingyue than you. Uncle Shen nodded. I think so too. At this moment, my dad also spoke up. Since both kids have no objections, then this engagement is settled. Upon hearing this, I was almost scared to death. It's settled just like that. Who said there were no objections? Just as I was about to argue, Uncle Shen interrupted me again and said, let's set the date for next year's Valentine's Day. Aunt Shen chimed in. Then the wedding will be scheduled for the year they graduate. Seeing this, my eyes went wide. This suffocating despair. However, an even more despairing situation was about to come. Aunt Shen had a beaming smile on her face. By the way, Yichen, in order to help you cultivate your feelings for each other, we've decided to transfer you to Shen Qingyu's school. Then you'll move into a luxury apartment next to the school together. Saying this, Aunt Shen raised her eyebrows to emphasize. It'll just be the two of you living there. I felt like I was about to get scared out of my wits. I patted my second sister, Gu Luoli. Hurry and take me to the hospital. Gu Luoli laughed, reveling in my misfortune. The hospital won't help. You need to drink. I glared at her. Drink? What are you talking about? Shen Qingyue turned to her mother and said, so you want me to live with Yichen? Or is it just the two of us living together? Aunt Shen nodded. Yes. This way, you can better cultivate your feelings for each other. Do you think your previous month of summer vacation is the reason why I forced you to learn cooking and culinary skills? It's so that when you live together, you can cook various delicious dishes for Yichen, to help you get used to the life of a virtuous wife and mother in advance. Upon hearing this, Shen Qingyue and I were both speechless. Is this what they call a long-planned scheme? Seeing this, Aunt Shen quickly added, but you don't have to worry about hygiene issues. Aunt Lu will come to clean every day at 2 p.m. When will I go there to clean? If you need anything later, or if there's something you want to eat, just tell Aunt Lu directly. By the way, Yichen, if you find your allowance is not enough later, you can just ask Qingyue for it directly. From now on, we are family. What's ours is yours. What a wonderful statement. But I can't feel happy about it at all. Engagement and all that. I'm actually okay with it. After all, engagement is just tantamount to marriage. Marriage doesn't mean you can't get a divorce. But having me live with Shen Qingyue again, under the same roof, I really can't stand it. I was bullied by her a lot when we lived together as kids. My mom stood up and clapped her hands. Sweet, it's settled. At that moment, Uncle Lee walked in. The ingredients for the barbecue were all prepared. Let's go have a barbecue. I grabbed my two sisters and wouldn't let them leave. After everyone else leaves the villa, I immediately broke down and asked my sisters, "Did you both know about this already?" "Yeah." Gu Luoli smiled. "Surprised? Unexpected?" I was so shocked I nearly fainted, okay? I looked like I was about to cry. "Why didn't you tell me? If you had told me, I wouldn't have come back. You all know how much I hate Shen Qingyue. Aren't you my sisters anymore?" Gu Wanshu pulled me into her arms. "Of course. You're my dear little brother." I had a miserable expression on my face. "Then why don't you love me anymore?" Gu Wanshu looked at me with a doting expression. "Because Qingyue is indeed quite good. She's also the best opposite sex around you." I quickly started flattering her. "The best around me are you and my second sister." Gu Wanshu curved her lips slightly. She didn't say anything. Seeing that Gu Wanshu clearly looked unwilling to help me, I had to place my hope on Gu Luoli. I grabbed Gu Luoli's hand and looked at him pitifully. "Second sister, can you think of a way to help me, please? I can attend the same school as Shen Qingyue, but I don't want to be engaged to her. Even more, I don't want to live with her." Gu Luoli shook her head with a smile. "Good little brother. It's not that we don't want to help you. We have helped. We persuaded mom and dad for a long time. At least they should get your consent before making a decision. But it was useless." I was puzzled and couldn't help but ask, "Why? Aren't mom and dad usually quite respectful of our opinions and ideas?" Gu Luoli covered her mouth and giggled. "This is your fault and Sheng's. Who told you that you clearly don't mix, yet insist on performing in front of mom, dad, and Shen, Uncle Shen and Aunt Shen, acting out some more than friends but less than lovers play? This led them to believe that you two had secretly started a secret but thrilling early romance. You just didn't dare to tell everyone. I'm speechless about this. It's fucking sneaky but also thrilling." Gu Luoli said again. "So it's based on the misunderstanding that you and Qingyu's premise is mutual affection. They went ahead and arranged your engagement, and it also lets you be together openly, no longer sneaking around." My mind was racing. So doesn't that mean that, if I had shown my dislike for Shen Qingyue since childhood, by expressing it on my face, they wouldn't have arranged this engagement for us? Gu Luoli looked at me and said, "Aren't you just stating the obvious? Your parents care for you so much. Would they force you to get engaged to someone you don't like? If they were to force someone, it should be me with Wanshu, okay?" Hearing that, I stood up and said, "Then I'll go tell my parents and the uncles and aunts what my relationship with Shen Qingyue really is." Just as I was about to leave without stopping, Gu Wanshu's voice sounded behind me. "Stop right there. My older sister dotes on me the most at home. I also listen to her the most. At the same time, I'm the most afraid of her." So after hearing Gu Wanshu's words, I immediately obediently sat back down on the sofa. Gu Wanshu said seriously, "Have you ever thought about, if you go over and confess now, it will not only make mom and dad and uncle and aunt awkward, but it will also make them sad?" I looked at my sister with a wronged expression. "So, does that mean I have to keep this to myself?" Gu Wanshu continued. "The things you created entirely by yourself must be shouldered by you. Moreover, as a boy, you should be more responsible. Don't choose to shift the blame when you can't handle it." I reluctantly replied. Gu Wanshu stood up and walked towards the door. "I'll go out first. You all hurry up and come out too." After Gu Wanshu left, Gu Luoli was about to stand up. I grabbed her hand firmly. "It's not hard to walk." Gu Luoli tapped my head lightly. "If you have the guts, try being tough with Sister Wanshu. You know it already. Besides being afraid of being broke, I'm most afraid of my elder sister. Since childhood, her aura has been formidable. It's even more pronounced since she took over Dad's branch company. You have to help me think of a way to rent." Gu Luoli shrugged her shoulders. "You and Qingyue have to bear the responsibility yourselves." I was both angry and anxious. "If you don't help me, after I move in with Shen Qingyue, something very unfortunate could happen." Gu Luoli looked at me with a puzzled expression. "Why do you say that?" I said with a serious expression. "First, Shen Qingyue will beat me up badly, or I'll fight back and beat her up." Gu Luoli chuckled. "That's a score of 4. Right now, the only thing you can win against Qingyue is in an argument. I don't believe you can win in a fight. Although both you and Qingyue are black belts in karate. But you are a first-degree black belt, and she is a third-degree black belt. But there is a difference in strength between men and women. Today's Qingyue can't easily beat you like she did when you were kids. She can't just effortlessly make you submit anymore. But she can still overpower you. Do you believe that?" I had a frustrated look on my face. "Of course, I know that. Is it really sent with sincerity? Is there really no way out?" Gu Luoli shrugged. In the afternoon 3 days later, I collapsed on the sofa of the small house playing a game. Suddenly, a phone call came in. I glanced and saw it was a call from Gu Wanshu. I didn't dare to be slow. I immediately chose to log off the game. I hurriedly answered the phone. Gu Wanshu's voice came through. "Get ready. Pack your luggage. I'll be at the bottom of your building in 10 minutes. I instantly broke down. How could I have forgotten that today is the day I moved to Shen Qingyu's place? Because school starts tomorrow. I need to move in early to get settled. I pleaded with a good tone. "Sister, can I?" Gu Wanshu interrupted me with a faint smile. "It can't be helped. Hurry up and pack your bags. Sister will be here soon. I'll hang up for now." Aunt Shen's building in the city is the most upscale community in Zhang City. All around it are prime locations. There are all kinds of malls and cinemas. In the elevator, I leaned against the handrail. I looked at Gu Wanchu gloomily. Gu Wanchu patted my head. Alright. Cheer up. If you smile, I'll increase your allowance. All my allowance comes from my elder sister. Although my family is wealthy, my family wouldn't let me spend money freely. They're just afraid of raising me to be a spendthrift. Really? I was originally getting only 20,000 yuan in allowance a month, but now I was suddenly happy. Gu Wanchu nodded and made a sound of agreement. I happily asked, Sister, how much are you going to increase it by? Gu Wanchu seriously raised one finger. 1,000. I was speechless. Rounding it up means it's practically nothing. The elevator door opened. Gu Wanchu pressed the doorbell. Aunt Shen opened the door. She welcomed us with a very cheerful demeanor. Come in quickly. After saying that, she handed slippers to Gu Wanchu and me. At the same time, she spoke to Shen Qingyue, who was watching a show on the sofa. Qingyue, stop playing around. Quickly go get some mineral water for Wanchu. And the cola that Yichin loves to drink. I tucked away all my emotions. I said obediently. Thank you, Auntie. Aunt Shen smiled warmly. How many times have I told you? You don't have to be so polite in front of me. By the way, I haven't taken you both to see your room yet. We arrived at a door. Aunt Shen excitedly opened it and said, Here we go. This is your room. It's in the warm tones that I like. Thank you. I was originally quite happy. Suddenly, a flash of light passed through my mind. I looked at Aunt Shen in disbelief. Our room. Shen Qingyue was also scared. Mom, aren't you being a bit too reckless? Aunt Shen was displeased upon hearing this. How am I being reckless? Isn't this quite nice? Mom specially arranged this room for you and Yichin. She even hired the most famous designer in the country to design it for you. Even if you don't appreciate it, you still shout at me. I originally had a lot of complaints. But suddenly, I didn't dare to say anything. Seeing that Mom was a bit upset, Shen Qingyue had no choice but to stop arguing. Aunt Shen looked at me to explain. Little Chen, Auntie does this mainly to help you and Qingyue strengthen your relationship. Besides, when you were kids, didn't you also live in one room? You lived together for several years. Of course I remember. Your beds were right next to each other. There was less than half a meter between them. Suddenly, I realized that the room that Shen Qingyue and I were going to stay in, the bed was less than half a meter apart. History always has such striking similarities. But Auntie, I tried hard not to wear a gloomy face, awkwardly maintaining a polite smile. You also said that it was when Qingyue and I were kids. We are all grown up now. When we were young, Shen Qingyue lived at my house. I would at least play with Shen Qingyue once every day. A big part of the reason was that we lived in the same room. Aunt Shen waved her hand. Oh, it's nothing. As long as you don't share a bed, it doesn't matter. Besides, after you get married, you're definitely going to sleep together. So getting used to it in advance is good. Being prepared for anything is definitely better than being unprepared. Do you have anything else you want to say? Aunt Shen asked with a smile. I really wanted to say something but didn't dare to. I could only shake my head and sigh. It's gone. Shook. It shook. Aunt Shen nodded in satisfaction. That's good. Then Wanchu and I will leave first. I won't disturb you any longer. After Aunt Shen finished speaking, someone couldn't help but let out a laugh. I looked on with curiosity. Aunt, what are you imagining? How can you be laughing so happily? My friendship with your daughter is all fake. It's all fake. Before leaving, Aunt Shen handed me a card. It has a limit of 500,000. Letting me spend freely every month. How polite. Please, don't be polite. Of course, I initially refused. But I couldn't resist Aunt Shen's enthusiasm. So I had to accept it. 50,000 in spending money per month. All the pocket money my family gives me doesn't add up to 500,000. Aunt Shen is really too generous. After sending off Gu Wanchu and Aunt Shen, Shen Qingyue and I returned home. I stood outside the door, entering the password while saying, Your mom is really thoughtful. The password is our birthdays. After entering the living room, Shen Qingyue said to me while I was drinking cola, For the harmony between us, you might as well sleep on the sofa. I almost choked on the cola in my mouth. Why should I sleep on the sofa? Shen Qing spoke lightly. Because this is my home. My mom bought the house. I said unfazed. This is also my home now. Shen Qingyue was stunned. When did this become your home? The corners of my mouth lifted. Your mom said we're family. So what's yours is mine. Shen Qing smiled faintly and reminded. Gu Yichin. Do you know you forgot? Our engagement ceremony hasn't been held yet. There is currently no legal relationship. I stood up and shrugged. If you round it up, doesn't that create a relationship? Shen Qingyu's beautiful eyes were filled with shock. Rounding up. Gu Yichin. I really underestimated your shamelessness. I immediately shot back. You're the one who's shameless. Did the nurse throw your face away when you were born? Did they throw your face away? Gu Yichin. You. I crossed my arms and looked at her. What's wrong with me? Shen Qingyue was so enraged she couldn't speak. She stomped her feet uncontrollably. Seeing that I completely crushed Shen Qingyue, I instantly became smug. My tail was held up high, and Shen Qingyue was slow to respond. I arrogantly bumped my arm against Shen Qingyue. Speak up. What's wrong with me? I can't be bothered to argue with someone like you. With that, Shen Qingyue left to pull her suitcase. My anger flared up again. Someone like me. I rolled up my sleeves. I was originally planning to have a huge fight with Shen Qingyue, but then I thought better of it. Every time I argued with her, it just got more and more infuriating. My temper can be this bad. Shen Qingyue deserves significant credit. I was organizing my luggage. Just as I was about to grab my towel, I realized I hadn't brought the towel in at all. Not only that, I didn't bring in the clothes I wanted to change into either. I really want to give myself a brain is a good thing. But I have. I reached the door and cracked it open. I called out to Shen Qingyue, who was lying on the sofa watching a show. Shen Qingyue seemed not to hear, staring at the TV. I knocked hard. Shen Qingyue put down the remote control in her hand. She picked up a bottle of mineral water from the coffee table and started drinking. Jamaican. Yelled at a pair of angry shouts. You piece of work. You keep pretending. Do you think you're a plastic bag? That plastic bag can't hold you either. Shen Qingyue finally looked at me and asked indifferently. How do you want to invite me in to bathe together? Shen Qingyue truly is always here making a scene. But now I need to trouble Shen Qingyue. My attitude and tone must be better. I gave a slight smile. I have to ask you for a favor. Let it end here. But what if I don't want to be troubled by you? I kept a smile on my lips while sharpening my knives in my heart. Is there no room for negotiation at all? Shen Qingyue smiled and said. There is, indeed. My eyes brightened as I saw hope. Hurry up and tell me. Shen Qingyue rested her chin on her hand and said. Didn't I owe you 3 conditions? Let's cancel one out. With a speechless expression. Are you printing this? Shen Qingyue withdrew her gaze. Then the negotiation failed. Then I'll continue watching TV. Hi, I'm just joking with you. I continued speaking with a forced smile. It's happily settled then. But in my heart, I thought, just wait. A gentleman doesn't forget a debt, even after 10 years. When you come to beg me, just watch, and you won't even know who you are because I'll take advantage of you. Shen Qingyue spoke up. What do you need me to help you with? I quickly replied. Can you get my bath towel and pajamas from the wardrobe? They're in the top right compartment. Shen Qingyue reluctantly got up and said. Just wait. I was awkwardly leaning against the door. A minute later, she brought my bath towel and pajamas. I took the bathrobe. Against the marble wall. She shouted at me inside. Hey, simp. Simp is the nickname Shen Qingyue specifically gave me. When we're alone. She always responds to me like this. I got dressed in my pajamas and was ready to blow dry my hair. Why would I go back to your dad? Just as I was about to plug in the hairdryer. Shen Qingyue's voice floated in from outside, clearly echoing in the bathroom. Don't you think that white pajamas don't suit you? I held the hairdryer in my hand and turned it off. My looks are just perfect for the internet. Shen Qingyue shook her head. That personality is not suitable. White should be a very elegant color, right? But you would only ruin this color. I was already unhappy about the 75 I had with Shen Qingyue. I was already quite upset. This time, provoked by Shen Qingyue. I placed the hairdryer down on the sink. I opened the bathroom door. I aggressively pushed Shen Qingyue against the wall. I pinned her to the wall. Just as I was about to tease her, a chime sounded from the entrance. No translation needed. Shen Qingyue and I looked over at the same time. Shen Qingyue and I looked over at the same time. Aunt Shen at the entrance said with a smile while changing her shoes. Qingyue. Little Chen. Look at my memory. I was rushing to play cards. But I forgot to take my wallet. I came back to get my wallet now. You two are here. Aunt Shen's words trailed off. After seeing the position of Shen Qingyue and me, it instantly stopped. Aunt Shen immediately became excited after returning. Oh dear. Am I interrupting you? I was speechless. Things happened too suddenly. There was not the slightest hint of a warning. So much so that I couldn't react in time. Shen Qingyue hurriedly explained. Mom. It's not what you think. Aunt Shen immediately interrupted her. Sorry about that. Mom, I'm leaving now. I'll leave right away. After saying that, she quickly found her wallet. She left at a speed reminiscent of a swift retreat. Outside the door, Aunt Shen waited for the elevator while chuckling happily. She took out her phone and called my mom. Hey, old Bing. Let me tell you. Those two's kids. After hearing this, my mom laughed along with Aunt Shen. It was just getting dark. It wasn't even 6 o'clock yet. Why are these two kids in such a rush? That's what I'm saying. Aunt Shen was laughing so much in the elevator that she could hardly close her mouth. Clearly, they can't wait to live together. Wanting to stay in a room. Still pretending not to like me. I've wanted to expose them several times. Hey, what do you think? How can these two kids act so well at such a young age? My mom said excitedly. It's because they're afraid we'll find out about their early romance. Actually, we're quite open-minded. Anyway, they're going to be together sooner or later. What difference does it make if they're together early? Aunt Shen nodded. Exactly. And in the room, Shen Qingyue finally came to her senses. Let out a scream of breakdown. Chen dog. I'm going to kill you. Saying that, she threw a straight punch at me. However, her fist had just moved. It was easily caught by me. I was overjoyed in an instant. The situation had turned in my favor. I surprisingly managed to catch Shen Qingyue's punch so easily. Shen Qingyue, angry, swung again. Here it comes again. And again, I caught it. Shen Qingyue stomped her foot in anger. Let go of my hand. It's one thing to stop her punches. But to not let go at all is too much. Otherwise, I won't be polite to you anymore. I slightly tugged at Mumu. Do you think you can still fight back now? Shen Qingyue was very petite when she was a child. So her head looked quite big. That's why I gave her this nickname. Even though her face is very small now, I still like to call her that. Shen Qingyue stared at me fixedly. Although she was gritting her silver teeth, there was a hint of weakness in her gaze. I chuckled lightly and let go of her hands. Whistling, I went back to the bathroom to dry my hair. The buzzing sound of the hair dryer soon filled the room. Shen Qingyue didn't leave and still leaned against the wall. Even though she really hates me. She's hated me since childhood. But I have to admit that, after Ji Yu Yichen went abroad, He didn't adjust well for a long time. He wasn't used to sleeping alone in a room. He wasn't used to not having Ji Yichin to bully anymore. Even Shen Xingyue herself didn't notice. There was a barely perceptible smile in her gaze. I blowdried my hair and went inside to change clothes. I walked over to the sofa. I sat down on the single sofa next to Shen Xingyue. I looked at her and asked, "What are we having for dinner?" Shen Xingyue shook her head and said, "I'm not hungry." This line appears to be incomplete or context-specific. Please clarify for accurate translation. The implication was very clear. Shen Xingyue pointed towards the kitchen. "If you want something to eat, go get it yourself. I'm not unhappy. Your mom said you were going to cook for me." Shen Xingyue frowned. I didn't agree to that. I shot her a glare. "If you don't want to cook, then don't. I can cook myself, it's not like I can't. After so many years abroad, I can do a lot more by now. I'm getting ready to go to the kitchen to prepare something for myself. Release the pent-up frustration. It's really frustrating." I grabbed a pillow and threw it at Shen Xingyu's face. It broke apart. Right on target. I found it amusing. I instantly burst into laughter. Perfect. Shen Xingyue picked up the pillow that had fallen on the ground. She watched me bounce toward the kitchen. It really is the same as always, a complete lack of common sense. Easily satisfied. Shen Xingyue got up and went to the kitchen. I had just tied my apron. I took a fruit knife to prepare to cut the tomatoes. I heard footsteps coming from behind. I immediately knew it was Shen Xingyue who came in. I stared at her unhappily. "What are you doing here?" Shen Xingyue came in front of me without saying a word. She took the fruit knife from my hand and placed it on the cutting board. Then she took off my apron. I quickly realized. "What are you coming in for?" "Then it's for your hard work." I clapped my hands with joy. I went out to play games. Shen Xingyue grabbed me. "Wait a moment." I looked at her in confusion. "What's up? You don't want me to help out here, do you?" That's fine too." Shen Xingyue pointed at the refrigerator. "What do you want to eat? Take it out from the fridge. So I won't end up making something you don't like and you won't eat it." My heart warmed up. "You're so nice. Why are you so kind? I've already checked the fridge. It's either something you love or something I love. Just cook whatever you want." After saying that, I took a box of ice cream from the fridge. "Then I'm going out, okay?" Shen Xingyue gave a small, After I went out, I suddenly remembered that I forgot to ask if the taste is still the same as before. I like heavy flavors. Because we grew up together. Our preferences are quite similar. Values are also important. But they are also somewhat aligned. It's not everything. She prefers lighter flavors. But I like strong flavors. Originally, Shen Xingyue was prepared to ignore me. She's just going with her own taste. But thinking about it, I'd better not. To avoid getting angry again later. Outside the kitchen, Shen Xingyue asked, "Do you still enjoy it like you did when you were a kid?" I lay horizontally on the sofa, playing games energetically. "I prefer lighter flavors now. I can also handle spicy food now. You can have meat, seafood, and the like. You can add some spice to it." Shen Xingyue didn't think much more and returned to the kitchen. Great, Ji Yichin also likes lighter and mildly spicy food. This way, at least they won't have any conflicts over meals in the future. This line may need more context as it seems unclear. I couldn't help but praise Shen Xingyue while sipping the soup in my hand. "Although I really can't stand you. I have to admit, this soup you made is really tasty." How nice. I'm a bit speechless. How could such a distinguished person have so many admirers? After eating, I took the initiative to take care of the dishes. She watched me while drinking mineral water. "Isn't there a dishwasher? Or can't we just leave it for Aunt Lu to wash tomorrow?" I picked up the cleaning cloth. I started wiping down the greasy plates one by one. Who can wash dishes faster than a dishwasher? For something as simple as washing dishes, we shouldn't bother Aunt Lu. Shen Xingyue sensed something and spoke up. "During all these years you spent abroad, did you rarely hire help?" I continued. "Not exactly. I still call for help at least once a week. It's just that I do all the simple tasks myself. Like washing dishes and taking out the trash." Shen Xingyue let out a sound. She walked out of the kitchen while drinking mineral water. "It's 6 o'clock every Saturday." I was sleeping soundly on the sofa. Suddenly, Shen Xing's voice rang out. "Ji Yichin, it's time to get up." I turned to the side and snuggled deeper into the blanket. "Who's bothering me with all that chatter?" After giving me a cold glance, Shen Xingyue yanked my blanket off. I was furious and sat up from the sofa. I grabbed the pillow from the bed and threw it at Shen Xingyue. "What are you doing? I was sleeping just fine. What do you want me to do? Do you believe I'll throw a gas canister at you?" Shen Xingyue caught the pillow and threw it back at me. "Ji Yichin, have you forgotten that today is the first day of school?" I was jolted awake halfway when the pillow hit my head. "Sorry about that. I really forgot." Shen Xingyue glanced at me. "Get out of bed and wash up right now." For breakfast, Shen Xingyue made deep-fried dough sticks. There was also soy milk, sandwiches, and boiled eggs. It's all my favorite food. It's also Shen Xingyu's favorite. After having breakfast, I went to the fridge to get a box of yogurt again. I planned to drink it on the way. Shen Xingyue furrowed her brows. Those who know Shen Xingyue understand that Shen Xingyue extremely dislikes people eating in her car, whether it's smelly or not. Even her best friend Mumu never dared to do that. I called out to Shen Xingyue. "What are you standing there for?" I didn't know that Shen Xingyue disliked others eating in her car. Shen Xingyue initially wanted to tell me, but after thinking it over, she ultimately said nothing. An hour's game. Shen Xingyue had just driven into the school when it caused a stir among the boys. Inside the car, I finished the last bit of yogurt. I tossed the empty container into the yogurt box. I planned to throw it away when getting out of the car. I have to admit, this really is the best private school in the country. Even the sides of the driveway are lined with pink cherry blossom trees. Shen Xingyue parked the car in her designated spot. I unbuckled my seatbelt while asking, how long does it take from here to the teaching building? This school is huge. How long will it take us to get to the classroom building from here? Shen Xingyue glanced at me lightly. Don't ask questions whose answers you'll know soon enough. This will make you seem really annoying, you know? After saying that, Shen Xingyue pushed the door open. In the parking lot, Shen Xingyue's bootlickers. They became excited as soon as they saw Shen Xingyue. I tightened my grip on the yogurt container in my hand. In public, I won't bother arguing with you. I grabbed my backpack. I got out of the car holding the yogurt container in my hand. The onlooking classmates had shocked expressions on their faces. My appearance immediately stirred up a wave of excitement. All attention was focused entirely on me. I'm a bit confused too. Why are you staring at me like that? The boys around shouted in shock. What the heck? Can someone tell me who that guy is? Why can he get out of Shen's car? A girl interjected. He can get out of your Shen's car. Does he represent? He's your Shen's boyfriend? The boys couldn't accept it and protested one after another. You're overthinking it. He is quite handsome. But to pair with Shen, that's still a long way off. I think. He's probably a bodyguard assigned to Miss Shen by the Shen family. That's possible. He definitely looks like a wild duck. The girls were speechless. Have you ever seen such a handsome guy not becoming an idol? Instead, he's a bodyguard for the Shen family. What are you thinking? I sneered and said, why do some of these boys have such smart mouths? I arrogantly raised my chin to look at the boy who called me a wild duck. My gaze turned cold, and my aura instantly expanded. That boy trembled in fear from my presence. He quickly stepped back a few paces and hid into the crowd. I thought, what is this wild duck glaring at him for? Did he say anything wrong? How arrogant can one be? Did he think he was impressive just because he got out of Shen's car? I retracted my gaze, quite satisfied with his reaction. Not to mention, no matter where I go, there will always be a group of people who, without evidence, like to gossip about others. They even gossip in front of me. Do they think I'm easy to bully? As for being Shen Xingyue's boyfriend, I am clearly Shen Xingyue's father, okay? Shen Xingyue walked up to me. Let's go. I'll take you to report to the principal. I responded calmly. I casually tossed the yogurt container into the trash can. Damn it. Did you all see that? He threw a yogurt cup into the trash can. Miss Shen, isn't she always not allowing anyone to eat in her car? Even when Mumu only dared to drink mineral water in Miss Shen's car. He can't really be Miss Shen's boyfriend, can he? If that's the case, my heart hanging in my chest is about to stop. I frowned slightly and looked at Xingyue. Why didn't you tell me you have a car obsession? Although I don't like her, I can't just cross her boundaries for no reason. Shen Xingyue replied dismissively. Aren't we aware of it now? I'm somewhat speechless. I have to say that talking to her is constantly challenging my limits. Just a few steps behind Shen Xingyue, I saw a girl walk up to Shen Xingyue and ask, how did he come to school with you? That night when I had a conflict with Song Jinian, when Mumu sent a message to Shen Xingyue, she sent a satellite message to Shen Xingyue, asking who that boy is. But Shen Xingyue didn't tell Mumu what she thought was. This quickly became my second meeting, but that's it. He actually appeared at their school too. He was brought here by Xingyue. The handsome guy in front of me is indeed different in terms of his demeanor. I felt that the person beside Shen Xingyue looked somewhat familiar, as if I had seen him somewhere before. Shen Xingyue replied to Wen Wei. He transferred to our school starting today. Mumu couldn't help but ask again. Who exactly is this handsome guy to you? Is he your boyfriend? Shen Xingyue shook her head and said, no. I stared at Wen Mumu. I felt this girl must be a bit crazy. She must be a very close friend of Xingyue. Otherwise, someone like Shen Xingyue who likes to go solo. There are people with severe obsessive cleanliness. I've kicked her out long ago. They had already sent her back. Wen Mumu eagerly pressed for answers. What kind of relationship is that? Shen Xingyue remained silent. She was used to this and didn't get angry. Instead, she looked at me. Come here. Handsome, tell me. What is your relationship with Xingyue? I smiled with a smirk. I looked extremely handsome. I patted Shen Xingyue on the shoulder. I raised an eyebrow. I am her father. Wen Mumu suddenly regarded me with respect. She was almost in awe of me. Just short of offering me a round of applause in front of Shen Xingyue. She almost gave me a clap right there. Really, I was both handsome and imposing. As Qingyu's best friend, she didn't even dare to call herself Dad in front of Xingyue, okay? Her expression changed and she stopped in her tracks. She looked at me with a blank expression. She was immediately alerted. What are you looking at? In 15 minutes, it will be required. Quickly take me to report to the principal. As I said this, I stood under the shocked gazes of everyone. Shen Xingyue was pulled away. Shen Xingyue looked around, and all she saw were classmates. She could only hold her temper and give me face. Without saying anything, she continued walking forward with me. Wen Mumu looked at us with a shocked expression. She felt like she hadn't woken up yet. Still dreaming in bed. The onlooking classmates were all dumbfounded. Not looking like they were scared at all. Just looking incredulous. Who on earth is this guy? How dare he be so brazen with Shen Xingyue, the school beauty? It's one thing not to be called out by Shen Xingyue. Shen Xingyue even listens to him like this. She actually followed him. Living is truly great. We can witness developments that even ghosts wouldn't expect. Outside the crowd, the cherry blossom tree was. Standing there was a very beautiful young girl. The smile at the corner of her lips was warm and beautiful. At this moment, she was looking at me with smiling eyes, gradually coming closer. This person is Chin Ryan. A gentle breeze blew by. Countless cherry blossoms fell from the cherry trees. Accompanied by the wind, they softly swirled around her. Knowing that today the four great families, young Master Ji-yu would be transferring to Linzong. The principal had been waiting in the office early on. This Linzong Academy. Each of the four great families holds a 10% stake. Naturally, the principal did not dare to neglect me. Moreover, my mom and Aunt Shen came to handle my transfer paperwork. They also repeatedly instructed the principal not to let me be bullied. Otherwise, the first person they would look for is him. So how could the principal not arrive at school early? He even personally brewed the hot cocoa that he heard I loved from my mom. The hot cocoa that he found out I liked to drink. After Shen Qingyue escorted me to the principal's office. I'm going to class first. I have been warmly welcomed by the principal. The reception lasted until the early self-study was almost over. Only then was I taken to the academic office to complete my enrollment procedures. That Teacher G. Young Master Ji-yu will be entrusted to you. The principal instructed Teacher G. Please make sure to look after him for me. Teacher G is a rather beautiful young teacher. She looks like she should be under 25. Alright. The principal. After answering the principal, Teacher G turned to me and smiled, saying, if Ji-yu Yichin has any academic problems in the future, he can come to find the teacher. I nodded. Good. Teacher G looked at me affectionately. Before the school year started, she had heard that a young master from the Ji-yu family was transferring to her class. She had been sweating nervously in her heart before. She was constantly anxious right until the moment she saw me. But after seeing me, she realized she was overthinking. This Ji-yu Yichin is someone you can tell at a glance. She's not pretentious at all. She should be easy to get along with. He is totally different from the most difficult young master of the Song family in the class. Thinking of Song Jinian, Teacher G immediately felt exhausted physically and mentally. While walking to the classroom, Teacher G asked me, Yichin, I heard you were studying abroad before. I nodded. Teacher, I suddenly asked. Shen Qingyue shouldn't be in the same class as us, right? I really don't want to be in the same class as her. Teacher G said with a smile. She's not in the same class. But she's in the class next door. My class, senior year class 2, is on the second floor. When I reached the third floor and passed by class 1, I saw Shen Qingyue sitting by the corridor window, in the second to last row. And sitting in front of Shen Qingyue was Wen Mumu. At that moment, she was openly playing with Long Yao, tilting her head. I feel like I know this friend of Shen Qingyue's. She looks really familiar. I wonder where I've seen her before. Just when I was trying to forget and not think about it, an image of the private room suddenly jumped into my mind. Oh, I remembered. I really have seen her. On the night I returned to the country to pick up Shen Qingyue. It seemed that at that time, in order to better appreciate the scene of her tearing up with that, what is his name? She even turned off the music in the private room. She must be someone very into herself, right? Thinking about it, my gaze. Don't tell me that what is his name is also from this school. Teacher G smiled at me. Yichin, this is our class. Although it was already class time just 2 minutes ago, the classroom was still noisy. Even when they saw Teacher G standing at the podium, everyone still didn't quiet down. I had something to say. The teachers for the first 2 classes of this grade must be really exhausted, right? Teacher G clapped her hands. Alright, everyone quiet down a bit. Now, let me introduce a new classmate. As she spoke, Teacher G looked at me from the doorway. Alright, GU classmate. Come in. Nearly all the students in the class are indifferent to the subject teachers. So, no one really listens to Teacher G. However, when they heard there was a transfer student, it caught quite a bit of attention from the classmates. The classmates were quiet for a few seconds at first, but as soon as they saw me walk in, it erupted into chaos. Especially the girls who let out excited screams. Oh my, this transfer student is super handsome. I wonder if he has a girlfriend. The girls had lovesick expressions. The boys responded back. What's so good looking about him? I really doubt the eyesight of you girls. Exactly. What if he's had plastic surgery? You girls only know how to judge by appearances. How can he compare to our Yan Ji's handsomeness? Our Yan Ji's looks completely crush his, alright? The girls were too lazy to pay attention to these usual comments from the boys. The few boys who fawn over Song Jinian. They follow Song Jinian around like servants all day long. Doing this and that for Song Jinian. They take insults without retorting and endure hits silently. In private, they've wanted to team up and tear Song Jinian apart for a long time, right? But unfortunately, they don't have the guts. Upon hearing it, they immediately exploded. It can't be that Song Jinian from that night, could it? Not only are we from the same school, but we're also in the same class. I started looking for Song Jinian's figure in the classroom. Just a glance, and I saw Song Jinian. He was sitting in the second row, listening to music, casually looking at his phone. He didn't notice my presence at all. I snorted coldly. So it really is him, huh? I really didn't expect that I would actually see this boy for the second time. My originally good mood instantly evaporated. Song Jinian's deskmate, K-Jen, was originally rushing to finish his summer homework. He had no interest in the transfer student mentioned by the teacher at all. I could hear everyone's whispers so loud. I couldn't resist my curiosity and looked up. The moment he saw me, K-Jen was shocked. It's actually him. K-Jen immediately put down his pen and nudged Song Jinian. Song Jinian took off his headphones and glanced at K-Jen. K-Jen pointed at me and said, "Look at this new transfer student." Song Jinian frowned. A student? What's he doing? He's interested again. However, Song Jinian still glanced towards the podium. Just as he was about to quickly look away, he suddenly froze. It's him. Seeing me, Song Jinian immediately recalled how I embarrassed him that night, and how I slapped him twice in public. In an instant, Song Jinian's expression darkened. He actually transferred to my territory. Let's see how I deal with him. Thinking this, Song Jinian slammed his phone on the desk. He stood up. The classroom went silent immediately. I looked at Song Jinian and then at myself. The little followers who were with Song Jinian in the private room that night. Some people have already recognized me one after another. At first, there was slight surprise. Later, it turned into gloating. It seems that this senior year will be quite interesting. Under everyone's gaze, Song Jinian walked up to me. I looked at Song Jinian with an unhappy expression. Someone was quietly whispering, "What's going on? Does this Song Jinian know this transfer student?" It seems they not only know each other. It seems they have a grudge. Shush, don't talk. Do you want to be scolded by Song Jinian? The whispers immediately stopped. I raised an eyebrow. Song Jinian is A4. It seems that people in this school are quite afraid of him. No wonder he's so arrogant. Song Jinian looked at me with his chin raised. During the summer vacation, I heard that a new student was coming to our school. So it's you. I had a cold expression on my face. Take your hand off me. I don't like being touched by trash. Song Jinian was furious, pointing at me. Teacher G tried to speak up for me. Classmate Song Jinian, please don't. Song Jinian glared at Teacher G with a very foul tone. Shut up. What are you even? Who gave you the right to interrupt me? Teacher G's expression stiffened, looking extremely uncomfortable. Deep down, she really wanted to explode, but was forced to endure. She had no choice but to swallow her anger. She had finally managed to enter Lingzhong from an ordinary university. If she offended Song Jinian, there's a good chance that the rest of your career will be ruined. On her first day working at Lingzhong, a teacher secretly told her privately, "You can offend anyone but not Song Jinian." Those who previously offended Song Jinian were all dismissed by the principal. Teacher G cast a helpless glance at me. She regretted not being able to be like before, feeling guilty for protecting students like that. They've come, I noticed. Most of the students in this school are Song Jinian. Even the teachers are afraid of him. Banned. Dealing with someone like Song Jinian, I can handle it myself without bothering anyone. I'm facing Song Jinian. I'll say it again, take your hand away. In front of the whole class. How could Song Jinian possibly take it away? Are you ordering me? After saying that, he thought to himself. Thinking he's impressive just because he has Shen Qingyue backing him, right? Shen Qingyue hates those who bully others by virtue of their connections the most. Ji Yichin is feeling relaxed like this now. There's a high probability that Shen Qingyue doesn't like it. She might even hate it. So since Shen Qingyue hates him, she definitely won't care much about him. What can I really do to him? Shen Qingyue will at most just give me a warning look. The classmates in the class are all eagerly looking forward to what happens next. They're anticipating the events to unfold. It seems that this person called Ji Yichin has had a conflict with Song Jinian before. He seems to have a history with Song Jinian. Then he's in for some tough days ahead. Song Jinian will definitely make his life quite eventful. If things go wrong, he might even be pranked by Song Jinian. After all, several people have already been bullied by Song Jinian. There are laws in this country that can lead to criminal charges. No passports are allowed to be issued for traveling abroad, etc. This negligence will greatly impact his entire future. So, what Song Jinian employs is psychological bullying. Poor Ji Yichin, he truly is pitiful. However, what can be done when one offends the wrong person? What can be done if he has offended someone he shouldn't have? Aside from Shen Qingyue and Qin Rian, there is no one else with significant power in their family. Their backgrounds are quite substantial. Behind Song Jinian, there is not only a prominent family background. The past 2 years, more than 10 boys and girls have been forced to drop out by Song Jinian. There are at least 10 of them combined. There are precedents for this reason. To avoid bringing unnecessary trouble. Do you think this transfer student will drop out? Will they be forced to drop out by Song Jinian in 3 months? No need for 3 months. At most, 2 months. Although it was light, I heard everything. Although Song Jinian is detestable, what's equally detestable are these malicious bystanders. Seeing their classmates being bullied, they can do nothing to protect themselves for fear of being implicated. But please don't gloat over their misfortune. I looked at Song Jinian with cold eyes. Anger was already burning in my heart. Obey. I am ordering you. Remove your hand. Otherwise, be careful or I'll break your hand. Although I returned the slap Song Jinian gave me, I already returned it with interest. But when I think back on it these days, it's still quite a feast. I rarely fought with others since I was young. I have fought very little from childhood to adulthood. So I usually just let things slide. But getting slapped in the face is a first for me. Since Song Jinian couldn't wait to come out and deliver, then I don't mind settling old and new scores with him. Damn. Does Ji Yichin want to get himself killed? How dare he speak to Song Jinian like that? I guess ignorance is bliss. The onlooking classmates looked shocked. At that moment, Song Jinian sneered. Alright then. Then go ahead and try. As soon as Song Jinian finished speaking, there was a loud sound. Suddenly, a scream was heard. Song Jinian screamed in pain. Let go. Ji Yichin let go. Almost everyone gasped in shock. It's a rare sight to see. This was the first time they saw someone daring to speak to Song Jinian like this. Seeing this, Keijen quickly stood up and went to help Song Jinian. But I was suddenly grabbed by the person behind me. Keijen, stop using your tricks. Another move, so predictable. Keijen impatiently pulled his hand back. The expression on the table changed instantly. I kindly advise you, yet you still act like this. You really think of yourself as a favored person next to Song Jinian. In Song Jinian's eyes, Who knows if he even sees you as human? Or if he just sees you as a dog? At that moment, Song Jinian raised his hand to slap me. I reacted quickly. I first slapped Song Jinian across the face. A loud slap echoed through the classroom. The classroom fell instantly silent. Everyone stared at us in shock. I smiled slightly at him. Keep your mouth shut. Otherwise, don't say I won't break your hand. I would dare to smash your mouth too. At this point, Song Jinian was already speechless from the pain in his wrist. He couldn't say a word. Sweat began to bead on my forehead. Many in the class had been bullied by Song Jinian. Those who had been bullied were secretly laughing. K-Jen walked up to me. He pushed me aside and saved Song Jinian. Gu Yichin. Song Jinian was in so much pain that he was about to squat down. I was still full of anger at that moment. But seeing K-Jen, I really couldn't bully him anymore. I truly couldn't bully a good person anymore. Just thinking about it makes me feel guilty. However, I found it very strange. How could this person in front of me be friends with Song Jinian? But that seems a bit too special, doesn't it? I looked at K-Jen, who replied calmly. I know that Song Jinian is your good friend. You shouldn't be like that. He was the one who came to provoke me first. He was at a loss for how to respond to me. The pain in Song Jinian's wrist. Once again, he was publicly humiliated. Still in front of the whole class. How could Song Jinian possibly be angry? Taking advantage of my attention being elsewhere, Song Jinian stepped forward and kicked me. I dodged just in time and looked at Song Jinian in shock. I knew Song Jinian was very mean. I never expected Song Jinian to be this cruel. Very good. You like to make people you don't like embarrassed in public, don't you? Then I'll let you know what that feels like. I directly kicked him down to the ground. The classroom fell completely silent. You could almost hear a pin drop. My classmates stared at me in disbelief. No one expected that I would actually dare to treat Song Jinian this way. K-Jen reacted quickly. Just as he was about to help Song Jinian up, Li Qian, sitting in the back row, hurried over to help. This line seems incomplete or out of context. Are you okay? Li Qian looked at Song Jinian. I could see from Li Qian's worried and panicked expression that she was concerned. Li Qian really likes Song Jinian. Li Qian really likes Song Jinian. I'm about to not understand this world anymore. How can someone like Song Jinian have friendship and love around him? Slap. I was startled by the sudden sound of a slap. Only after I regained my senses did I realize that the slap had landed on Li Qian's face. The one who slapped her was naturally Song Jinian. I was shocked. No way. He hits those who are nice to him. He must be sick, right? Don't touch me. Song Jinian glared at Li Qian, seething with anger. It was clear he was venting the anger he felt on my side. He unleashed it on Li Qian. Li Qian crouched on the ground, not daring to make a sound after being hit by Song Jinian. She looked utterly terrified. Li Qian must often be hit by Song Jinian. He hits those he can't stand. I can understand that. But hitting those who love him even more. I just can't understand that. Doesn't his conscience hurt? K-Jen squatted down and whispered in Song Jinian's ear. Nian Jie. Let me help you to the infirmary first. Accompanied by K-Jen, they were walking towards the classroom door. When I was about to leave the classroom, Song Jinian looked at me viciously. Gumchen. You wait for me. I won't let you have an easy time. I don't want to care about Song Jinian. The students in the next class sitting by the window. I was drowsy. After hearing Song Jinian's voice, suddenly I became energetic. Go to the window to watch the fun. It's Brother Nian's voice. Is there anyone else who is going to be torn apart by Brother Nian? For what Gu Yichin? Why haven't I heard of such a person in class 2 before? So the class was the teacher. They started to discuss excitedly. Who is Gu Yichin? Do any of you know him? Could it be some insignificant person from class 2? He is a transfer student. He is super handsome. He even got off the car of the school beauty Shen this morning. They say he is the school beauty Shen's father's boy. The classmates were talking. They couldn't help but look at Shen Qingyue. At this moment, Shen Qingyue was holding a pen. She was casually drawing. She is an art student. She loves to draw. Whether at home or at school. When she has nothing to do, she either draws or watches TV. When Mumu turned to look at Shen Qingyue. It seems like your little handsome guy is fighting with Song Jinian again. She continued to focus on her drawing, as if she hadn't heard anything. Hey, hey, hey. When Mumu unhappily tapped on Shen Qingyue's desk with her finger. I'm talking to you. Shen Qingyue glanced at her and said Dan Dan Shuo Dao, it's not my business to manage others. It's better not to meddle in other people's affairs. And he isn't from my family. When Mumu was a bit worried. What kind of person is Song Jinian? You and I both know. Anyone who offends him. He always messes with that. You should quickly step in to stop this. Send him a message or something. Otherwise, your little handsome guy might be in trouble. Just give it to the school. The boy's own contact information. He touched his forehead. Almost forgot you no longer have Song Jinian's backup. Shen Qingyue put down her pen and looked at Wen Mumu. Don't worry. Even without me. That simp Gu Yichin can handle Song Jinian. Wen Mumu was slightly taken aback. What a simp. Shen Qingyue tugged at her lips. Let me tell you something you might not believe. If he really wants to confront Song Jinian could end up with mental issues. She was wide-eyed in surprise. Is it really like this in society? I really can't tell. Shen Qingyue smiled and said. And not only can he confront, he can also fight. He is a black belt in karate. When he was in the 3rd year of middle school, he even won the national karate championship. If Song Jinian gets upset, he will probably be cut down to half. Wen Mumu looked shocked. It seems very serious indeed, Mumu said with great concern. But Song Jinian is the second young master of the Song family. He is quite favored by his father as well as his grandparents. If he gets really angry, it could likely involve Ji Yu Yichen's family. Shen Qingyue was silent for a second. His name is Ji Yu Yichen. Wen Mumu looked puzzled. So what? Can you finish your sentence in one go? Shen Qingyue said calmly. He is the young master of the Ji Yu family, one of the 4 major families. Upon hearing this, Mumu was left speechless. My mistake. I underestimated him. I truly didn't expect that our school would gather people from 3 of the 4 major families. Shen family, Shen Qingyue, Qin family, Qin Rian, Tang family, Qin Rian, Ji Yu family, Ji Yu Yichen. We're just missing the last family. It's the second young lady of the Lu family. However, this second young lady of the Luo family studies at a semi-private, elite school opened by her family. She once saw the Luo family's second young lady at the gala. She was even colder than Qingyue. At least Qingyue isn't cold to her acquaintances. But the second young lady of the Luo family doesn't talk to anyone. Alright. She should get back to business. Let's continue playing the game. However, just a few seconds after Wen Mumu turned around, Shen Qingyue took out her phone and sent me a message. What's going on between you and Song Jinian? After Song Jinian left, Li Qian got up from the ground and touched her face, which was hot and swollen from the slap. She headed back to her spot. I cast a sympathetic glance at Li Qian. I noticed her eyes were both red. It was quite pathetic. Although I have experienced what it's like to be slapped by someone I like. But getting hit for sure hurts at that moment. It's also quite painful. I caught snippets of murmured discussions in my ears. Tisk. Truly, they're 2 loyal little bootlickers. I gave a mocking glance at the 3 girls who were talking. Although I really dislike Song Jinian. But I find it even more intolerable than Song Jinian that there are those who dare not confront openly. Those who only point fingers behind the scenes. People like this often love to bully the softest targets. When they take advantage of their connections to bully others, they are even more excessive than Song Jinian. I looked towards Teacher Ji. I'll go to the principal. Teacher Ji nodded blankly. She hadn't yet regained her composure from what had just happened. Then, I walked out amidst everyone's gaze. As I was about to reach the principal's office door, my phone, which was in my pocket, rang. It was a call from Aunt Shen. How is Yichen? Do you like the new school? Aunt Shen asked me with great concern. How do the people in class make you feel? If anyone makes you feel uncomfortable, tell Aunt Shen. Aunt will change that person's class. Hearing this, I quickly replied. I'm doing well. Thank you for your concern, Aunt. Suddenly, Aunt Shen called out. You should be starting class soon over there, right? I won't disturb you any longer, then. If you encounter any issues at school later, you can directly find the principal or aunt, either is fine. Cut off. I was just about to put away my phone when I unexpectedly discovered that Shen Qingyue had sent me a message. Although it's through a screen, I can't see her expression. But I seem to feel that Shen Qingyue doesn't mean any harm. It's not me being overly sensitive. Mainly because when we were kids, Shen Qingyue and I would fight daily, despite not getting along. But when I was bullied by outsiders, she would come to protect me. I will probably cry after being bullied by my second sister, laughing loudly. But if I come back crying after being bullied outside, they still won't laugh at me. My eldest sister explained to me that Shen Qingyue would be like this, probably because of the silly dog they raise at home. They can dislike it themselves, but others cannot. The saying goes, you must consider the owner when hitting a dog. Thus, knowing the malicious intentions of Shen Qingyue, I understood the situation. Therefore, I understood Shen Qingyue's malicious intentions. I replied to the message. I will tell you later. My school uniform was given to me by Song Jinian. I need a new set from the principal as well. Put away your phone. I then pushed open the door and walked into the principal's office. The principal was talking to 2 students about something. One of the principal's most hated things is being interrupted while speaking. However, upon seeing that it was me who walked in, he instantly broke into a smile and got up to greet me. Classmate Ji-Yu. Isn't class already in session? How did you get here? Classmate Ji-Yu. The boys and girls standing in front of the principal exchanged a glance. They looked over at me. I felt a bit awkward. I thought during class, there wouldn't be anyone else in the principal's office. Moreover, it seemed they were discussing something important with the principal. I was just about to tell the principal about my uniform issue, when the principal noticed first. Classmate Ji-Yu, what's going on with your uniform? The principal looked at me with surprise. I replied calmly. I was messed with by an arrogant young master. The principal asked sternly. Who did it? Tell me. I will resolve this matter for you right now. A female classmate beside me looked at me thoughtfully. Classmate. The young master you're talking about, is it Song Jinian? I was taken aback and nodded slightly. Yes, how did you know? That female classmate smiled helplessly. For various reasons, I didn't explain. Sure enough, it was Song Jinian. That young master, who brings endless headaches to their student council. Unfortunately, he has the principal backing him up at home. Ching. Their student council is completely powerless. What? Song Jinian. The principal's protective demeanor vanished instantly. Classmate Ji-Yu. Can you explain the detailed process to the principal? Although the Ji-Yu family's background is much stronger than Song Jinian's, I don't know how many times larger. Returning to the Song family, they also own 5% of the school. Neither of these two can be offended. Once offended, this principal might very well be packing up to leave the next day. He would be getting ready to take off. I have a bit of a personal grudge with that Song Jinian. So, after he saw me, he wanted to hit me. Unfortunately, he came at me. and ended up messing up my clothes like this. The principal nodded and let out a sigh of relief inwardly. My heart was about to leap out of my chest from fright. Finally calmed down and went back. He picked up a cup of water to steady his nerves. Then I said lightly, I am a wounded stock. But did he just get another 4 from me? And I kicked him again. Hearing this, the principal almost choked on the water in his mouth. He pulled out a tissue while wiping his mouth, while patting his chest. After finally being able to breathe normally, the principal looked at me in shock, speechless. You slapped Jinian. The principal was so frightened that he couldn't say anything further. Oh, he even threatened me, saying he would deal with me. Not afraid at all. Who deals with whom is still uncertain. The principal looked at me nervously. He was so anxious that his breathing was almost irregular. So, how will you solve this matter, classmate GU? How do you plan to resolve it? Resolve it? Of course, I will handle it myself. There's no need to inform the parents about such things, right? The principal let out a sigh of relief and finally smiled. All right then. You can handle it yourselves. I believe you can definitely sort this out. However, as soon as those words were spoken, the principal's expression turned troubled again. Gu Yichin has resolved his side of things. What about Song Jinian's side? He rubbed his temples and said, Zhu Shi, please take Gu along to get another set of uniforms. Upon hearing this, Zhu Shi replied, Sure, principal. Well then, Gu. Let's go. I nodded. In the corridor, Zhu Shi asked me, Gu, it's such a crucial year in senior high. Why did you choose to transfer this time? I shrugged and said, It was arranged by my family. Zhu Shi nodded and said, I see. We warmly welcome you to our school. I'm Zhu Shi, the student council president here. Meanwhile, in class 2, Song Jinian returned to the classroom with a dark expression alongside Kei Zhen. Su Wanding turned around. She looked at Qin Ruyan sitting behind her. It seems that the upcoming senior year will be very interesting. It will be quite entertaining. Qin Ruyan sat in her seat. The golden sunlight shone on her. It made the smile at the corner of her lips appear particularly warm. Yeah. Su Wanding hesitated for a long time before asking, Ruyan, can I ask you something? Qin Ruyan maintained the smile at the corner of her lips. Sure. Is it because you are always fixated on Gu Yichin? Actually, Su Wanding had basically already confirmed it, but she couldn't help but want to ask. Qin Ruyan deepened her smile. It's about money. In the corridor, I could already hear the noise from the classroom. But at this moment, the class fell silent because of my return. It instantly turned into absolute silence. Everyone was staring at me. I quickly sensed Song Jinian's presence as well. He had a look that seemed like he wanted to tear himself apart. I tilted my head slightly. I provocatively tugged at Song Jinian's collar. According to his character, Song Jinian should have rushed over to tear me apart by now. He should already have come charging over to attack me. I wasn't wrong in my guess. Indeed, someone has told Song Jinian something. That person is Kei Zhen. He informed Song Jinian. Someone saw Gu Yichin arriving in Shen Qingyu's car today. He even ate something in the car. It seems he has quite a close relationship with Shen Qingyue. He advised Song Jinian not to act against me until he has investigated my background thoroughly. For now, he should not make a move against me. The only person Song Jinian does not dare to provoke in school is none other than Shen Qingyue. Naturally, he can only suppress his resentment towards me. At the same time, he sent someone to investigate me. I looked at Teacher Shan. Teacher, where should I sit? Teacher Ji began looking around the classroom. He found that only the spot next to Qin Ruyan was available. But Teacher Ji knows that the spot next to Qin Ruyan never allows anyone to sit there. It never permits anyone at all. But even so, Teacher Ji still held a glimmer of hope and asked Qin Ruyan, Classmate Qin Ruyan, can classmate Gu sit next to you? The classroom instantly became quieter. Is Teacher Ji getting impatient? How dare they let classmate Gu sit beside Qin Ruyan? It's not like they don't know that Song Jinian likes Qin Ruyan. A girl interjected. Classmate Gu is so handsome. What if Ruyan agrees? A little follower of Song Jinian smirked mockingly. No matter how handsome he is, can he compare to our Jinian? Qin Ruyan would never let Gu Yichin sit next to her. If she did that, I'll live stream washing my hair upside down for you. Song Jinian was already in a bad mood. After hearing everyone whispering, the mountain began to stir. He slammed the table heavily. Suddenly, the classroom fell silent, and no one dared to speak again. Who could be liked by Song Jinian? Must be pretty unlucky, right? I wonder what kind of person they are. I thought about looking toward Qin Ruyan's seat, because there was only an empty seat next to Qin Ruyan in the class. So I quickly found it. Qin Ruyan, sitting at the back row. I was taken aback again. It's her. Isn't she the one I bumped into that night when I went to find Shen Qingyue? I can't believe she's in this class too. However, just when everyone thought Qin Ruyan would reject it, unexpectedly, Qin Ruyan said with a smile, Hello there. I was a bit confused. Not everyone can sing, right? Qin Ruyan opened the chair next to her and looked at me, saying, Come over, new deskmate. As the classmates were astonished, they looked at that guy who said he would livestream himself washing his hair while doing a handstand. The boy averted his gaze. He started to lay on the desk pretending to be cool. The classmates rolled their eyes inwardly. I looked at Qin Ruyan and blinked. It's the first time I've met a girl who smiles and feels so warm. A girl who gives off such a warm feeling. Unlike someone from the next class. What's wrong with me? I should hurry to my seat. Just as I was about to step toward my seat, I saw Song Jinian glaring at me with jealousy. I ignored him and put my backpack on the desk. Seat F. Just doing everything in my seat. Qin Ruyan said to me under everyone's gaze. I didn't expect the transfer student to be you. This instantly caused an uproar among the crowd. Not only does she know Joe, but she also knows Shin Ryan? I'm feeling a little sour. To be this close. To our school's two top beauties. I felt a bit awkward being close to Shin Ryan. I said in a voice that was almost only audible to us. Can you not say something like that, which could cause misunderstandings? Shin Ryan and I locked eyes for a moment without blinking. She nodded and smiled. Good. Song Jinian was shocked. In an instant, the anger that had been building up inside Song Jinian erupted. He looked at Teacher Ji on the stage. You're not attending class anymore. I'll send a message to the principal soon. To have him expel you. Now get out of my sight immediately. After saying this, Song Jinian stood up. He kicked over his own desk. Li Qian seemed worried that something might happen to Song Jinian. Hurry up and catch up with Song Jinian 7. I was stunned. It's just a seat, right? Is it really necessary to act like this? Isn't that a bit too much? Teacher Ji stood there on the podium, swallowing his anger. His eyes were red with anger because of Song Jinian. But he quickly packed his things and walked out of the classroom. The classroom immediately buzzed with noise. Another one has left. How many teachers has Song Jinian driven away now? I can't remember. Anyway, it's definitely more than 10. The teacher is gone. No one is watching us anymore. Why don't we team up for Dragon Glory? Sounds good. Sure. The season is about to end soon. I need to rank up quickly. Besides thinking Song Jinian is insane, I also feel particularly guilty. After all, Song Jinian was driven away because of my actions. I took out my phone to send a star to the principal. After class, I stood up and walked out of the classroom. I was preparing to go to the principal's office again, because the principal still hasn't responded to my message. Suddenly, I noticed Song Jinian leaning against the railing in the corridor. He called out to me in a haughty tone. Ji-Yu Yichin. I turned around and impatiently looked at Song Jinian. Damn. Are you looking to fight? The surrounding classmates gathered around after hearing this. Song Jinian crossed his arms and looked at me with his chin raised. What is your relationship with Shen Qingyue? Are you really her boyfriend? As he spoke, Song Jinian looked through the gaps in the crowd. I glanced over at the window of Class 1. Shen Qingyue was currently wearing headphones, listening to music and painting. If that's the case, Shen Qingyue wouldn't just sit there without moving. Eventually, the truth will come out. But how should I explain that night? What annoys me the most is, you have nothing at all. Yet others speak to me in an impatient tone. This makes me feel down. This would bring my mood to a halt. You want to know my relationship with Shen Qingyue so much. Why don't you just ask her yourself? What do you want to ask me for? Song Jinian was taken aback. I gave a small smile. You're too scared, aren't you? Do you really want to know my relationship with Shen Qingyue? Song Jinian's eyes lit up. Under his eager gaze, I turned to a male classmate beside me and said, you go to Class 1 and call Shen Qingyue out for me. The classmates were astonished. This counts as indirectly giving orders, right? The male classmate was originally excited to watch the show, but he was nearly scared weak in the knees by my words. He said tremulously, I don't dare. I was instantly speechless, looking at the male classmate with a helpless expression. I am telling you to her. It's not like I'm asking you to welcome her. What's there to be afraid of? The boy said fearfully. Because Shen Qingyue doesn't like anyone outside her friends getting close to her. No translation needed. That's it. Alright then. I turned and headed towards Class 1. The crowd made way for me. Song Jinian nervously looked at the situation. Could it be that Yichin can clear the way? Arriving at Class 1's classroom, I thought I should adjust my attitude. So I adjusted my emotions. I tried to use the best tone to call out. No translation needed. Shen Qingyue continued to paint, purposely ignoring me. Wen Mumu looked at Shen Qingyue with a helpless expression. Hey. The young master of the GU family sang. Shen Qingyue replied lightly. After hearing this, she squinted, looking over. Looking at Qingyue, she squinted at the others. She felt it might just be her illusion. Why did it seem like she saw a hint of a smile in Shen Qingyue's eyes? The people outside who usually fawn over Song Jinian instantly began to mock and ridicule. Oh dear. So confidently went over to find the school beauty, Shen. But Shen didn't pay him any mind at all. He thought he could ride in Shen's car to school, as if it was something incredible. A little attention and he starts to get bold. I turned a deaf ear to those mocking remarks around me. I replied to her in good spirits. Yet she chose to selectively ignore me. I offered her noodles, but she wouldn't even give them to herself. I took a deep breath. My tone was starting to turn. This was my last straw. I've known my childhood sweetheart since we were young. But as soon as I returned to the country, my parents told me to find her. The childhood sweetheart even made wild statements. I, Shen Qingyue, would rather die. I wouldn't like Ji Yichin either. But to maintain our superficial relationship in front of our families, we can only act out a relationship that's more than friends, less than lovers. Little did we know, both families not only set a marriage contract for us, they want us to live together to adapt to married life in advance. I arrived at Class 1's classroom. Just as I was about to bring Shen Qing out. Think about it, my attitude should be better. So I adjusted my emotions. Try to use the best tone possible for a moment. Just asking. Shen Qingyue continued to draw, deliberately ignoring me. Wan Wei looked at Shen Qingyue with a helpless expression. Hey. The young master of the GU family is replying to you. Qingyue replied lightly. Yes, I heard. Ah. Mumu looked at Shen Qingyue. Is it just her illusion? Why does she seem to have seen it from Qingyu's eyes? A hint of a smile deep within? The group outside who usually flatter Song Jinian immediately started mocking him sarcastically. Oh dear. So confidently went to find the school beauty, Shen. But the school beauty, Shen, completely ignored him. Thought being able to take my sister's car to school made him something special? Give them an inch and they'll take a mile. I turned a deaf ear to the sarcasm around me. I called her politely. Yet she had selective hearing. Giving her face. She wouldn't give me any. I took a deep breath, my tone already turning bad. I'll ask you one last time. The mocking was about to come again. When Sheng wouldn't listen to me either. Who knew Shen Xingyue took off her headphones, put down her pen, and looked at me. Ji Yichin, you're really so loud. Didn't you see that I'm drawing? At these words, I frowned. I saw it. Just borrowing a minute of your time. Hurry up and come out. Shen Xingyue turned to look at me. No borrow. Unless you cook dinner tonight. Upon hearing this, everyone was instantly dumbfounded. Are they living together? Head. I waved my hand towards Shen Xingyue. Shen Xingyue followed behind me with a blank expression. I walked up to Song Jinian and said, I've brought the person to you. All right. You can ask yourself. Song Jinian's originally arrogant aura had vanished the moment Shen Xingyue walked out of the classroom. The party was limited and the atmosphere was uneasy. How dare I go back and ask? Seeing that Song Jinian was silent, I spoke again. You don't ask. What is our relationship? The more I see you, the more I like you. Shen Xingyue didn't answer me right away. Instead, she asked me something off topic. Then why don't you tell me? What is our relationship? I frowned and said to her, Uncle. I am your uncle. Everyone was stunned. Ji Yichin must be very brave. Shen Qing waved his hand. If Ji Yichin's brain is not working well, go see a neurosurgeon. Don't be stupid here. It's embarrassing, you know? I was a little angry when I heard this. Big Head actually said that I am Taiwanese. 4. Just when I was about to respond. Then Shen Xingyue spoke. Never mind. You better not go watch it. After all, it can't be cured. After saying this, she had already set her sights on Song Jinian. Looking down at Song Jinian, he turned away coldly. Song Jinian. What is the relationship between Ji Yichin and me? It's not your turn yet. So I hope similar things will happen in the future. Don't ask me. Ask Ji Yichin. Got it. I was a little touched when I heard this and looked at Shen Xingyue. Song Jinian looked at him fearfully and nodded. Shen Xingyue shifted her body, originally planning to head back to the classroom. She turned back to Song Jinian and said, Next time you want to attack a dog, see who its owner is first. After saying that, Shen Xingyue returned to the classroom. I looked at Song Jinian with a sense of pride. What, did you hear that? 4. What the heck? Porridge. Realizing what was happening, I shouted at her directly. Are you looking for death? You are you. You actually insulted me like a dog in a roundabout way. After Shen Xingyue left, the classmates quickly began to whisper again. Did you hear that? Ji Yichin actually called the school beauty Shen a dog. And it seems they're living together. Just as I was about to return to the classroom through the crowd, a girl boldly asked me, Ji, are you living with the school beauty Shen? I originally didn't want to answer. But seeing everyone looking at me with eager eyes, I didn't want to ignore everyone. Nor did I want to disappoint them. So, I started to speak nonsense seriously. I am your Shen school's personal bodyguard. Everyone was speechless. Who would believe that? If you really are Shen's personal bodyguard, do you dare to speak to Shen like that? You would have been torn to pieces by the Shen family already, okay? A group of Wen Mumu eagerly asked Shen Xingyue, Are you living together with that handsome guy? Shen Xingyue gave a small, This line appears to be incomplete or nonsensical, so no translation is provided. She made a sound of acknowledgement. The character appears to be incomplete, no translation is provided. This line appears to be incomplete or nonsensical, so no translation is provided. Shen Xingyue glanced at Wen Mumu but said nothing. She lowered her head and continued drawing. The character appears to be incomplete, no translation is provided. Don't hesitate at such a critical moment. In the corridor, Song Jinian's face had turned green with anger. Everyone get the hell out of my way. He shouted impatiently. A path was cleared for Song Jinian in the crowd. Song Jinian wore a sullen face. He walked out of the crowd in anger. Seeing this, Kei Zhen quickly followed. On the stairs, Song Jinian was walking down with Kei Zhen. Approaching from ahead were Zhu Shi and several student council members. The girl standing next to Ning Zuxi was about to talk to her. Ning Zuxi was about to bump into Song Jinian. She hurriedly tried to pull Ning Zuxi aside. Ning Zuxi was somewhat confused and didn't follow the girl. It was for this reason that, the next second, Ning Zuxi directly bumped into Song Jinian. After realizing she had bumped into someone, she quickly looked over to apologize. But upon seeing Song Jinian's face, she was so frightened that she nearly fell down the stairs. Ning Zuxi's face turned pale. Her body trembled slightly. Apologize hastily. Nian Jie. I'm sorry. Song Jinian sneered. Pushed hard. Song Jinian used great strength. The pain made Zhu Shi scream. Song Jinian said with extreme disgust. I've told you a lot. The thing I hate most in this school. It's you who spends. I will see you once. So you better stay away from me. Ning Zuxi was so scared that she burst into tears. Crazy tears falling from my eyes. I'm sorry. I was wrong. The student union members behind Ning Zuxi. Although he didn't dare to step forward to protect Ning Zuxi. But deep down, he felt very sorry for Ning Zuxi. And again he said Zhu Shi was a white lotus. Who is the white lotus? Can't Zhu Shi be okay? Is this girl a white lotus? Open black lens bracket, can they see that they're both girls? Ning Zuxi covered her face. Just as she was about to take small steps to back away, Song Jinian impatiently shoved Ning Zuxi aside and walked forward. It was this bump, causing Ning Zuxi to lose her balance and fall on the steps. Song Jinian glanced coldly at Ning Zuxi. He pulled K Jen along and quickened his pace downwards. Song Jinian looked seriously at K Jen. K Jen, you noticed something, didn't you? K Jen was slightly taken aback. What did I notice? Song Jinian said seriously. That fall just now was intentional. K Jen was taken aback again. He knew Song Jinian wouldn't lie to him. But when Ning Zuxi fell just now, he witnessed it with his own eyes. No way. Song Jinian glanced at K Jen. When have I ever lied to you? It's normal that you couldn't tell. Just that seasoned white lotus, Ning Zuxi. How many people can really see it? Perhaps up to this point. In school, I'm the only one with a 4. Ning Zuxi is very popular in school, especially in the student council. You could say she is the pet of the student council. Basically, any heavy lifting, the members of the student council won't let her do anything. After school, the boys in the student council all compete to take Ning Zuxi home. Even the girls in the student council really like Ning Zuxi. It feels really comfortable to be together. With everyone's help, Ning Zuxi. She struggled to stand up from the ground. Someone asked with concern. Can your leg walk? Ning Zuxi furrowed her brow and was in pain. It seems that I can't. The girl beside is very anxious. The boy over there, come quickly. Zhu Shi fell. You should carry her to the infirmary. The boy hurried over immediately. Porridge. On the way to the infirmary, everyone is complaining about Song Jinian. This Song Jinian is really too much. You only bumped into him gently, right? Is that really necessary? This is really too excessive. Tisk. He's just relying on his powerful family. You can say this Song Jinian is indeed. When he hadn't been called back by the Song family yet. Ink-filled diamond. In elementary and middle school, he really experienced true bullying. Now he has his own background. Instead, he started bullying classmates himself. He totally deserved to be bullied before. A girl gently patted Zuxi's face and comforted her, saying. Zuxi frowned. Tomorrow, I'll bring you the cake my aunt made. Her cakes are really delicious. Ning Zuxi said gratefully with a smile. Thank you, Wei Wei. At this moment, in the principal's office. Ink bookstore. I knocked and walked in. Principal, you're back. The principal stiffened and felt a moment of suffocation when he saw me. He carried a heart full of despair. He offered me a win-win solution. It's just that Teacher G still has to leave. But he will arrange for Teacher G to teach at school number 2. He'll go to report there in the afternoon. He can start work tomorrow morning. After dealing with Teacher G's matters, I returned to the classroom. Because it would be break time now. There were very few people in the classroom. There were less than 10 boxes in total. I walked into the classroom. The first person to catch my eye was Li Qian. Li Qian was standing in front of the podium, wiping the blackboard. We unintentionally locked eyes. I originally thought Li Qian wouldn't like me because she liked Song Jinian. She would be very unfriendly towards me. I didn't expect Li Qian to show me a shy yet warm smile. I was slightly taken aback. I unexpectedly returned to my seat. Although I hadn't interacted with this girl who liked Song Jinian yet, she seemed to give off a good vibe. The moisturizing effect is quite good. I just don't understand why she would like Song Jinian. It doesn't seem to be about Song Jinian's looks either. Instead, it's something internal. Just when I was filled with questions, I suddenly heard a voice nearby. Qin Ruyan spoke in the lowest voice. Are you wondering why Li Qian likes Song Jinian? Wow. I almost jumped up from my seat. I looked at Qin Ruyan with a startled heart. I patted my chest, still shaken. You're right there in your seat. Qin Ruyan gently laughed and said with a soft expression. What you're saying is just too much. Am I that inconspicuous? I hurriedly replied. That's not right, not right. It's just that I was too absorbed in my thoughts. I didn't notice you. Qin Ruyan curled her lips into a smile. This line appears incomplete or misplaced, can't translate. I asked curiously. How did you know what I was just thinking? Qin Ruyan said with a smile. Very simple. Because your attention was on her from the moment you entered the classroom. After sitting down, he looked thoughtful. I give you a round of applause. You use your insight like this. Are you interested in becoming a criminal police officer and contributing to the country? I have thought about it. But my family won't let me. Qin Ruyan said regretfully. He needs financial support to cut costs at universities. They made me study finance in college. Then I joined the company. I look regretful. It's such a pity. Do you know Li Qian? Why do you like Nianwang? Qin Ruyan nodded. No. I continued gossiping. Tell me. Qin Ruyan smiled. Is there any benefit in telling you? Benefit. I thought about it. Please go to the school canteen to buy some. Qin Ruyan blinked her beautiful eyes. Are there any other options? I smiled and looked at her and said. I can help you with your homework. Qin Ruyan almost laughed out loud. All right. I'm kidding you. Qin Ruyan secretly glanced at Li Qian, who has returned to her seat. Li Qian liked Song Jinian since junior high school. The reason is probably because Song Jinian protected her. I almost thought there was something wrong with my ears. Are you kidding me? Even Song Jinian would protect people. Don't look at Song Jinian like this. He was actually pretty good at first. And Song Jinian didn't bully people at first. The personality is completely different now. You may not even imagine. What kind of person was Song Jinian at that time? Recalling the past, Ruyan continued. Even Song Jinian had experienced real bullying at that time. I looked at her with a smile and said, one time. Li Qing. Are they from the same school? Qin Ruyan nodded and said, I'm from the same school as them. Shen Qingyue is also. Not only that, I am in the same class with them. Li Qian was often teased, bullied and laughed at in our junior high school. I also have to run errands for others and pay protection fees or something. The first one didn't see it. Song Jinian, the person who stood up to speak for Li Qian. Later, the classmates found out that Song Jin's adoptive father. Because my adoptive mother is a sanitation worker. Everyone started to talk about the methods they used against Li Qian. Used on Song Jinian. After that, Li Qian was never bullied again. The person being bullied becomes Song Jinian. The reason why Song Jinian treated Li Qian like this. Because he stood up to protect Li Qian. But Li Qian later chose to be a bystander in order not to be bullied. But while being a bystander, she is also very grateful to Song Jinian. But Song Jinian hated her. I think a big part of this hatred is because Li Qian didn't stand up to help him. I feel a little surprised. I thought of a similar experience that happened to Song Jinian. Then I probably can understand. Why is Song Jinian like this? I seem to have missed something crucial. Song Jinian's adoptive father. Qin Ruyan nodded and continued. Song Jinian is the second young master of the Song group. But he parked. But how long has he lived? His nanny was careless. Until the third year of junior high school. The Song family took him back during the summer vacation. Nodding and analyzing. So Song Jinian's character is back to Song Jiaji's. No, Qin Ruyan corrected. Those were the 2 years he was bullied. Gradual changes. Because he wants to fight against those people to protect himself. So I made myself full of thorns. But Song Jinian hates her. It was the end of the second half of the third year of junior high school. There are several boys and girls who bully Song Jinian. Indirectly killed Song Jinian's adoptive mother. I was stunned by what I heard. So many things happened to Song Jinian. Then I asked another question. Why is Song Jinian so nice to Kei-Jen? Qin Ruyan explained patiently. Because at that time, only Kei-Jen was protecting Song Jinian. Kei-Jen was very popular in junior high school. When he came forward to help Song Jinian, everyone gives him face because of him. The bullying that happened to Song Jinian was reduced to a minimum. He was also the one who, when the disease is diagnosed, lend money to Song Jinian. It dawned on me. I see. No wonder Song Jinian is so patient with Kei-Jen. It was near the end of the second semester of the third year of middle school. Qin Ruyan nodded. Yes. His adoptive father passed away last year. Song Jinian had been attending school for more than a month. I'm complicated. Suddenly I feel that he is very good at making money. Things that adults may not have experienced. Song Jinian had experienced it early on. Qin Ruyan asked curiously. Don't you hate him? Nodded. Hating him and sympathizing with him are two different things. Even if I listen to your four, I still hate him. Sympathy is not just about his experiences. Qin Ruyan looked at me without blinking. The corners of his lips raised a gentle arc without saying anything. I looked confused. Why do you look at me like that? What stocks? Qin Ruyan smiled and continued. Okay, now it's my turn to ask. I feel helpless. I guessed she was going to ask about my relationship with Shen Qingyue. Qin Ruyan said in a gentle voice. Qin Ruyan nodded. What is your relationship with Shen Qingyue? I was so shocked that I almost fainted. How do you know I'm thinking? Qin Ruyan looked at me with a smile. Because of intuition. I was a little surprised. Aren't you going to ask me about Shen and me? So what are you going to ask me? Qin Ruyan said with a smile. What's going on between you and Song Jinian? Was there a festival before? Before, it was back. I told Qin Ruyan what happened that night. But he didn't say. Why did you go to find Shen Qingyue? Qin Ruyan listened carefully and nodded, showing a very meaningful smile. In fact, it is difficult to tell whether a person is good or bad from the surface. For example, Song Jinian, and the president of the student union, Ning Zuxi, even including me as smoke. I don't quite understand this sentence. He looked at Qin Ruyan with some doubt. What is your relationship with Shen Qingyue? It seems that the truth, goodness, and beauty of the world are all written on her face. Unbelievably beautiful. Outside the classroom, Su Wanning was leaning against the railing without me noticing when she got there. Right now, she has a complicated expression as she looks at me and Qin Ruyan, pulling the innocent Jiu Yichin into this. In the grievances between Qin Ruyan and Shen Qingyue. Is this the right thing? After school in the afternoon. As soon as I stepped out, I saw Shen Qingyue standing on the corridor outside class 1. I walked over and nudged Shen Qingyue with my arm. Were you waiting for me to fuss over you? She glanced at me indifferently. Without saying a word, she walked ahead. I felt a bit annoyed. Ever since I came back, I've been taking her nonsense. Not getting back at him and keeping it as an inheritance is not my style. I need to think this over carefully. How should I deal with Shen Da? I need to properly put her in her place. After returning home, Shen Qingyue changed out of her school uniform. I went to the kitchen to cook. I have a habit of taking a shower when I get home. Otherwise, you will feel sticky and uncomfortable all over. I just finished blow drying my hair. When I was about to put the hairdryer back in place, suddenly I looked at the hairdryer's outlet. A flash of inspiration revealed a vindictive and arrogant smile. Opened the bathroom door. I poked my head out stealthily. As soon as I reached Shen Qingyu's side, run to the balcony quickly. I took some washing powder and put it in the hairdryer. See how I deal with you. After putting the detergent back in place, I walked into the kitchen humming a song. Do not drink. Shen Datu's dishes are delicious. I took a can of Coke from the fridge. Then I went to the kitchen to cook. As soon as I arrived beside Shen Qing, I opened the pot where the sausages were simmering. Why are we having seaweed and spare rib sausages again? Didn't Yi Tian already eat that? Shen Qingyue glanced at me. Chen dog. I think you forgot that you were supposed to cook tonight. You must have completely forgotten about it, right? I stared blankly at Shen Qingzhou. I'm sorry. I really did forget. Shen Qingyue ignored me again. I served the sauced spare ribs into a plate and started washing the pot. I felt extremely embarrassed. Suddenly, my legs felt weak. I'll help you serve the tea. Soon, I returned to Shen Qingyu's side. Are you done? If you haven't finished, I can handle the next dish. I won't forget it myself. Mainly, it's because on the way back, I got too caught up in my thoughts. It's not good that I have this memory issue and can't multitask. Shen Qingyue placed the clean pot back in its position. No need. I'm done. I turned off the heat and reached for the pot. Then let me help you carry the soup. However, just as my hand was about to touch the pot, it was instantly swatted away by Shen Qingyue. Yu Yichen. It seems your brain is really just for show. Are you alive just to make up the numbers? Context needed. Unclear meaning as is. I'll help you. You actually still scolded me. Shen Qingyue shot me a glance. Because I've never seen anyone grab a recently turned off pot with their bare hands. I looked at her in confusion. I finally realized what Shen Qingyue meant. Shen Qingyue didn't explain and just opened the cupboard. She put on heat-resistant gloves and lifted the pot. I was so moved that I almost teared up. Beneath her exterior, I thought under the frosty exterior, lies a heart of gold. Right now, I really want to treat Shen Qingyue well. So I pointed to the refrigerator and said, let's go. There are oranges you like in the refrigerator. I'll squeeze you an orange. His eyes flickered. How did he know that I like oranges? After Shen Qingyue put the casserole on the table, she took off her gloves and apron and looked at me coldly. Need not. I chose to lose my temper and squeezed a cup for Shen Qingyue. Come, Miss Shen. Your orange juice. I pushed the orange juice over. Shen Qingyue responded coldly. He responded in a calm voice. Open the rice cooker and start serving rice. I sat there enjoying myself. After seeing Shen Qingyue handing over the meal, enthusiastic acceptance. Thanks. Miss Shen, you have worked hard. Shen Qingyue knows that I really mean this. But she still said I was hypocritical. I picked up a piece of braised pork ribs. I took a bite and was instantly amazed by the taste. Good flavor and delicious. Wow, Shen Qingyue, this pork rib you made is so delicious. You're actually eating it yourself. My mouth has been stuck to the food. Shen Qingyue took a bowl of soup for herself. I quickly picked the biggest rib from the plate for Shen Qingyue, and put it in Shen Qingyue's bowl. Well then, you should try it. Just when I was about to continue eating the rib, I suddenly remembered that Shen Qingyue has a serious cleanliness obsession. If a stranger or someone she doesn't like touches her things, she'll either throw it away immediately, or never touch it again. Eating food that someone else has touched with their chopsticks is even worse. Just as I was about to apologize to Shen Qingyue, an unexpected scene unfolded before me. Shen Qingyue actually picked up her chopsticks to eat that rib. Can someone explain to me what this shocking scene is all about? Shen Qingyue actually ate it. Shen Qingyue seemed to sense my gaze. Her face was filled with confusion. What are you looking at me like that for? I was taken aback. Is your obsession with cleanliness at the dining table okay now? I didn't mention it, and Shen Qingyue didn't even notice. She actually ate the rib I picked up for her. Looking at the rib on the chopsticks, Shen Qingyue was suddenly surprised. Back. She actually did it without even realizing. By some twist of fate, she ate the rib I had touched with my chopsticks. And she didn't even feel uncomfortable. Her obsession with cleanliness seems to be innate. Anything that someone else has touched, even if she thinks it's okay in her mind, her body just instinctively rejects it. The worst is when others touch her things, let alone when they serve her food. Even her own family members are somewhat resistant. What's going on? When they were kids, Yu Yichen touched her things. She was really annoyed. She wanted to throw me into a shredder. But now, she glanced at me, who was in a daze. I was taken aback. She insisted on throwing the ribs. It was 7 pieces of ribs, into a plate set aside for bones. She said coldly, just be straightforward. Just keep it that way. I nodded my head. This obsession with cleanliness doesn't get better that easily. After the meal, I was cleaning up the leftovers in the kitchen. Shen Qingyue was watching TV on the sofa. By the time I finished tidying everything up, when I came out of the kitchen carrying the trash, I found that Shen Qingyue was no longer on the sofa. I threw the trash in my hands into the big bin at the door. And when I came back, I looked around for Shen Qingyue's voice. I discovered that Shen Qingyue was in the bathroom taking a shower. Although I didn't have any particularly annoying flaws, I still had a bunch of minor issues. For example, forgetfulness. Sometimes I speak without thinking. Just when I was so happy that I felt like floating, I completely forgot what I did in the bathroom after taking a shower. I took a bottle of Coke and sat on the sofa to watch TV. Right now, a funny anime is playing. I have a low laugh threshold. I've been laughing almost the whole time. At this point, I have completely forgotten. The bathroom door was suddenly swung open. The bathroom is open. I was so scared that I stood up straight from the sofa. I just questioned Shen Qingyue about what she was doing. I saw Shen Qingyue with laundry detergent all over her head. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. I originally planned to, after finishing my meal, while Shen Qingyue wasn't paying attention, just clean the laundry detergent out of the hairdryer, put the tissue back in its place. As a result, I forgot while eating. For example, being forgetful. Shen Qingyue stood in the bathroom and replied, there are chills all over my body. I suddenly felt the air around me dropping rapidly. Shen Qingyue suddenly leaned in close to me. Shen Qingyue just looked at me without saying a word. The eyes are getting colder. I swallowed. My heartbeat quickened due to fear. I was wrong. Shen Qingyue interrupted my apology. Raise the hair dryer in your hand. Several meanings. I sincerely admit, this matter is my fault. But Shen Qingyue should be able to see it. What does she mean? You're still asking questions here knowing the answer. The living room fell into an eerie silence. I looked at Shen Qingyue and was so scared that I didn't dare to speak. Time passes by every second. Just when I finally adapted to this environment. When I feel relieved. Something she never expected happened. Shen Qingyue suddenly bent over and approached me. The graceful figure almost blocked all my sight. I heard, subconsciously shrinking into the sofa. Shen Datu, what are you going to do? I'm warning you. You dare to hit me. I'll call your mom. Then let's see how she will deal with you. Shen Qingyue pulled back expressionlessly. Before she comes to deal with me. I seem to have dealt with you. That's true. If Shen Qingyue really wants to deal with me. When Aunt Shen came over. I don't have any pants left. It seems that I can't force myself to go with Shen Qingyue. It's got to be soft. Apologize before things get worse. Shen Qingmu. I was wrong. Shen Qingyue glanced at me. Do you think it's still meaningful to apologize now? I wanted to choose silence. But I feel like it's not appropriate to be silent now. So after struggling for a while, I bravely said, well, I guess that's what you get for not apologizing. One should learn to be content. Shen Qingyu's expression darkened even more. It was ominously gloomy. Her expression even took on a layer of anger. I suddenly felt that the environment around me had turned into a hell filled with wailing spirits.